is, I want to show you how you can cook one in your pressure cooker if you want to do that. When I first got my pressure cookers, I cooked it in the pressure cooker. And again, it gets the cooking on your stovetop instead of your oven and frees up that whole dynamic there too. This is the 10-liter pressure cooker, and this is the 8-liter pressure cooker. The 10-liter can do up to about a 12-pound turkey. The other brand that we carry, the Pecan, it's a little taller, and I think it can do up to about a 14-pound turkey. Again, they did not have the fresh turkeys out right now, so I got, instead of a turkey, then I got I'm sorry, I'm losing my train of thought, multitasking here. I just got a big roasting chicken, so I'm just going to do that just to show you you're going to do it the same way. See, I've brined it, I did get one that said it wasn't, but that's like, wow. Woo. Okay, so let me show you how I would prep it. I've done a dry rub with the salt on it, and now I'm going to do the roasted red pepper seasoning mix. Since I've salted the bird, I'm not going to worry about putting salt in my mix. But all I use is I use my little TriBest blender cup, and I shake my seasoning up really well so I get a good cross-section of all the flavorings. And the reason I blend it or powder it is because of the big chunks of dried vegetables. And if you've never tried the market-to-market seasoning, they are real dried herbs and spices and vegetables, peppers, onions. It's the real thing, and there's no MSG, no salt, no sugar. They're billed as dip mixes, and they make wonderful dips and spreads and butters and things like that. You do need to mix them up the night before because there's no flavor enhancers or MSG. They do have to meld in those flavors when you're using them as a dip. So know that if you want to try some for party. But this is how much I love them, and my staff did my little cabinet here for me. So I use them all the time. The Jack and the Bean dip is one of my favorites. I mean, my pantry, I have to have Jack and the Bean, roasted red, some like it hot, and Eat Your Vegetables. Those are my 4 that I have to have on hand. My Eat Your Vegetables, I'll throw it in my rice because it's peas, carrots, I think peppers, onions, and I'll throw it in my rice when I'm cooking, and it makes the vegetables are just cooking right along in there. And just a great, great product. And so I put just a little in here. I do about 3 tablespoons. I already had some left over from yesterday that I powdered, but I did want to just show you how I powder it. And the reason I powdered is because of the big hunks of vegetables. I found that they just kind of fell off the bird if I didn't powder it. So this way it gives me a powder that'll stay on. Huh? Oh, the TriBest, if you don't know about the personal blender, fabulous Christmas gift. If someone doesn't have one, they will love it. Smoothies, dressings, powdering, making grits. So now I'm just going to rub it on here. A lot of times I'll use a little olive oil to make it stick a little better. In fact, I should have done that probably. I usually, in fact, make a wet rub and just put a little olive oil on there. And for your turkey, if you want, all depends on the flavor that you want. You can take a little bit of your onions and celery that you have. So see, it just makes it a little messier with the olive oil, but it does stick a little better. And I usually go in there, put you some up in there. Don't be shy. He's dead. He didn't. She, I guess it's a she. I guess. I don't know. Are they boys or girls? All right. And then I just put it down in here. I'm always amazed at some of the things I say. I'm like, did I really? Okay. Hey. Okay, so I'm just, can y'all see? I'm sorry, I moved it over. So I'm just going to give it a rub here. And when you're roasting, you know, now if I were cooking this for soup or, you know, to have stock, I'd cover it with water. But for roasting it, I don't. I want to steam it just like I would be cooking it in my oven. Get back over here. You don't need to, because I'm going to put a little bit of liquid down in there, and the juice of the turkey will come off. Let's see. And like I said, you can do whatever you want as far as other seasonings and flavorings that you want to do here. I discovered actually putting a little bit of onions and celery and even carrots inside the cavity, and that gives a nice flavor to the meat as well. So I'll just do that. And then you can put some butter in there if you want. That'll make it nice. And I'm just going to put a little, the vegetables down there. Let me see if I've got chicken broth. Yeah. And I'll actually just put a little, you've got to have, remember, for pressure cooking, you've got to have liquid. So I'm just going to put a little bit of liquid in here. And if you want to, you know, at home, what I usually do actually is I go on and put the carrots, the celery, and the onions down in here, and a little bit more broth. And then I just let it cook right here with the turkey, and then I take that out, and that's what I use in my dressing and my gravy. But for purposes today, I wanted to be able to make the dressing and the gravy while this was cooking. So, but that's what I do at home, is I would go ahead and put just a little more broth, maybe than I actually need, and go ahead and put all my carrots and, my celery and onion in here, and that's like, don't you hate it? I was fixing to do what my kids do with the milk carton. Leave like two swallows. I'm like, really? And the reason they do that is because we buy milk, like 3 weeks of milk at a time through our raw milk co-op. So the reason they leave 3 sips in the gallon jug is because if you finish it, you're obligated to go downstairs and get a new gallon so that there's milk in the refrigerator. Yeah, so they're smart. I'm telling you, they're smart. Lazy, but smart. No. But anyway, so all right, so there's our turkey, and it's all ready to go. It's not going to be the prettiest turkey, but it's definitely going to be amazingly delicious and moist. You can cook it breast side up or breast side down. Years ago, someone told me y'all should always cook turkeys breast side down, because then that makes the juices drip down onto the breast, which is where you want that moisture instead of on the back. So we're going to do that. And then we're going to sit our onions and celery that I've been cooking in some chicken broth there. And we're going to get the bird going. Remember, on your pressure cooker, forward is unlocked, so that's how you put the lid on. Match the circle on the lid to the dot on the handle. Close it. And then don't forget, how many of y'all were in the fall baking class? Don't forget to slide it back, or you will burn what's in here. Because it will, well, not if, yeah, it just won't ever come up to pressure. So, all right, so we're going to turn this on. Bring it up to pressure. How are y'all over there with burners? Actually, I'll just put it back here. I'm going to put it to the back. Yeah, I'm going to start it back here. Okay, so I'm going to bring it up to pressure on high heat. No, that's okay. Because do you need that burner? Okay. Alrighty. Let me just clean up here, and we'll move on to our next thing. It's going to, as soon as it comes up to pressure, we're going to cook it. That's an 8-pound, little over 8 pound, and I'm going to cook it 45 to 50 minutes. And that's, and a 12-pound turkey, you're going to cook about 50 to 55 minutes, okay, in the pressure cooker. Great thing to have by your sink is GSC. It's not just for taking for colds and flus, but drop a little bit in your hand, wet with water, and it's a great hand sanitizer after you've been handling the turkey. And it's great to sanitize your countertops. Studies done at the University of Georgia found that it was more effective in sanitizing the meat counters, the meat cutting counters, than bleach, than chlorine. So it's a great antibiotic, antiviral, antifungal. So just use that. It's grapefruit seed extract. You never heard of it? It's fabulous. We have it in capsules because it tastes like you just chowed down onto the rind of a grapefruit. So if you take it for colds and flus, just drip it in a little tiny bit of orange juice or something like that. But it's wonderful for keeping by your sink and just sanitizing your hands with it or wiping down. I'll drip a little on my cutting board if I've been cutting the chicken and things like that so that I sanitize it. We're using it to sanitize our countertops for our packaging when we're packaging our spices instead of chlorine, because I can't handle being around chlorine, much less using it in my kitchen. Let me put this back. All right. How many of y'all like cranberry sauce? How many of y'all do cranberry sauce? See, I'm not a big cranberry sauce fan. Now, the thing that my mother did was a cranberry relish, and I absolutely loved it. And I'll have to find out which one of maybe Ashley can find that out for me, which one of the cookbooks, the holiday cookbooks, it's in one of those, the cranberry relish. And it was the old Jell-O, and she'd get out her grinder, her food grinder, and grind whole oranges and all the cranberries and the nuts. And I loved it. It was just delightful. But I found a recipe for just a basic cranberry sauce, so I thought I would do that for you today. And it was absolutely delicious. So we're going to go ahead and do the cranberry sauce and get it going. Oh, no, you know what? I'm pressuring it. So I tell you what I need to do. I'm going to use this pot for my cranberries, and I cooked my kamut in it earlier. There's my kamut for my kamut salad that I'm going to do. I'm going to drain it off. And I want that bowl, that shallow tray, fluted kind of tray. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. Yep. We're going to make a delightful kamut salad, pomegranate kamut salad from the Ancient Grains cookbook. So there's my kamut I cooked before class in the pressure cooker. The recipe is in your handout, but instead of having to cook it for almost an hour, I only had to cook it for 15 minutes. Okay? So that's my kamut. I honestly don't know how anyone lives without a pressure cooker. I mean, everything we're cooking today is in a pressure cooker. So bear with me if you don't have one. You'll have to cook it conventionally, and you better start Wednesday, okay? So part of the miracle today is pressure cookers. So, all right, let's go to our cranberry salad, our cranberry sauce. It's on about the second page. Sorry, I'm going to have to jump around, but it's just the way it's going to have to be done. So you're going to see me kind of like in the kitchen. So, all right, and I've got a cup of honey granules goes in here. A cup of sucanat. Remember, sucanat is the brown one. The honey granules is the white one. So we want blondes and brunettes both in this pot. Heat them up. All right, and a cup of fresh orange juice. Those can just stay there because they weren't really dirty and I could probably use them. All right, so we're going to do our fresh orange juice. And are we zesting? Yes, I'm going to go ahead and zest. Do we know where my zester is? Okay. Thank you, ma'am. It's easier to zest your orange before you squeeze it, but I'm going to go ahead and squeeze one to get it in there. Okay. And I can't wait. If all goes well, I'm going to serve you some leftovers. I'm making turkey tostados. It's going to be refried beans with the leftover turkey. And we're going to jazz up the leftover cranberry sauce with some jalapenos and cumin and chili peppers. And make a tostado with that. It's delicious. I had it for lunch the other day. Oh my, it's very good. So, alrighty. You can now get your fresh cranberries. A few weeks ago I couldn't find them. Okay, I'm going to need about several more oranges, but I'm going to go ahead and get this in here so I can get it started. Alrighty. So we're going to, the original recipe said to cook this actually it said to cook it in a slow cooker for like several hours, but all you need to do is pressure it for 10 minutes. And you can let your pressure cookers multitask. Yes, I have a lot of pressure cookers. I actually have 3 that I use all the time. That's my 3. So, all right. I guess I could have done this before class. I wasn't thinking that it was a cup of orange juice. I love the squeezers anyway, though. I use a squeezer every day because I'm always using fresh lemon, lime. So, all right, I think a couple more here will do it. You could. I would definitely get, the not from concentrate. But it's just so nice, and you need the orange zest anyway. So, I mean, it's up to you. People always ask me, can I use this or that or the other? Yeah, you can. You can. Then this is the zester. Actually, I'm going to zest this because I think I put this in at the end. So I'm just going to zest it in my zester here. Do you see that? That's the protector that keeps you from scraping your knuckles in your drawer, but it also catches the zest. And I'm funny. I zest like this. Some people zest like this. And I do it both ways, but I tend to always go back the other way. I can see the advantage of this because then you see where you've zested, whereas I always have to stop and look. But it's just a preference there of whatever you like. Yes, sir?
In the recipe, it doesn't have lemon.
Doesn't have what?
It doesn't say lemon in your recipe.
For what?
For the cranberry sauce.
I'm not putting lemon.
That's an orange.
Don't confuse me now. I don't need any help with that whole process. Okay, so I'm going to set my zest aside because I need to grate my fresh ginger. And the fresh ginger, we need to finish juicing this orange. And that should be a cup about. All right. And I'm going to do a half a cup of water. Okay, and then we're just going to bring this up. And we'll save our zest and our cranberries. And see, these are our cranberries, not as pretty as the red ones because there's no sulfur dioxide and no sugar to brighten that up. So I need my ginger. If you've never used fresh ginger, oh my. I just love ginger. And I don't. Do you have to peel it? I don't. Yeah. Okay, I think I need a little bigger piece. Okay. So if you've never done fresh ginger, it is amazing. I mean, it's just, if you like ginger, just grate you some in a cup of hot water and sweeten it with a little honey and have it in the morning. Great for digestion. In fact, the crystallized ginger that we just started carrying as part of our spice line, you ought to get some. It does have a crystallized ginger. I've never found any that didn't have some sugar on it, because it's only a spoonful of sugar. Helps the ginger to go down. But it is wonderful for nausea and for digestion. So have a plate full of it around or a cup of ginger tea after your big Thanksgiving meal to help with that digestion. When I was sick and going through chemotherapy and radiation, I had ginger everywhere, in my car, in my purse. I found a coat pocket with it all in there that I hadn't worn, in a while. I was like, wow. And it's just fabulous for nausea and just helping quell that. Mint does that too. I keep a little bottle of peppermint oil in my purse. I have some great little tiny bottles like this, and I put it on the plane if the plane ever gets a little jumpy and you're kind of going, it's just fabulous. Again, my boys are funny about smells. They'll go, oh, you opened that mint oil again. And I'm like, yeah, so well. So, all righty. So now we're going to just scoot this aside here, and it's going to come up to pressure. I've got it coming up on high heat. And then it's going to pressure for about 10 minutes for those cranberries to pop. Of course, we're not going to see them pop, but I know it takes about 10 minutes to do that. So we're going to scoot that over here. Once it comes up to pressure and we pressure it for 10 minutes, then we'll let it naturally release. Just let it sit there and come down. Then we'll take the lid off, and then add our zest and our cranberries and let it just simmer until it's thickened. So we'll do that. How's our bird is coming up? One thing you're going to find with bigger projects like a big turkey or chicken, it may take a little longer for the pressure to come up. But you actually, like with vegetables and potatoes and things like that, it doesn't matter if you have 10 pounds of potatoes in there or 1 pound of potatoes. You're still going to cook it 3 minutes. It just may take longer for the 10 pounds of potatoes to come up to pressure. Does that make sense? But it's really funny with the pressure cooker. Meat takes a little longer when you've got more pounds, and there's some great books out there that give you the times on cooking the meat, but your vegetables and things don't. They take the same amount of time no matter what you're doing. I'm going to rinse this and set it aside because I think I'm using it in my next dish. All right, so we've got our cranberry sauce going, and of course, you could make this the day ahead and, be done with it. Make your desserts ahead of time and be done with them, so that it doesn't tie up your ovens either. We got a pumpkin cheesecake, pecan pies, or if you're from the way south, pecan pies. And so we got that. We're going to do here. I think the next on our list is we're going to roll out our bread. Okay. Because I want to get my bread rising. Again, you can make your bread earlier in the week if you want. And a trick to that is making your dough, shaping it, putting it right in the freezer. Okay, just shape it, don't let it rise. Shape your rolls or whatever, put them right in the freezer, and then when you're ready for them, rolls take about 6 hours to thaw and rise, and loaves of bread take overnight, like about 8 hours. So you could take it out that morning if you're having an evening Thanksgiving meal, or you could take it out, at night before you go to bed so that it's ready to bake around noonish or so. Anyway, so those are some tricks for making it as effortless as possible. Just remember too, week before Thanksgiving, one thing I love to do, I'm not making rolls today, but I love having rolls on hand. So I will make like a whole basic recipe of nothing but some rolls for sandwiches, because leftover turkey, it's like, after Thanksgiving Day, after I've been cooking, it's like, no, I'm not cooking, we're playing games, y'all, it's in there, So anyway, so I want to roll out the bread for you today. I'm really excited about a new product. We got a lot of new things in that I was just determined to get in here before Thanksgiving and Christmas. Oh, you smell that ginger? Man, that's a nice smell. Okay, I did have that locked. I'm like, I do not want to burn the... These are our new Emile Henry pizza stones and grilling stones. These are clay. They're made in France. What I love about these, I've looked at stones for years, and part of the downside of the stones that I found, though I love the way they cooked pizza and bread and things like that, is once they got oil on them, it soaked into the clay and then it smoked. And it smoked up my whole kitchen every time I cooked it. Also, where do you put that stone when you're not cooking on the stone? That was a big dilemma. You can leave the Emile Henry stones in the oven at all times. Just put it on the bottom shelf, and it actually helps keep your oven the right temperature when you're opening and closing because the stone gets hot. And the thing about the Emile Henry stones, they're the only ceramic stone that you can cook on an open flame. So you can put it on the grill, you can put it in the smoker. You can, well, if it fits. I think it fits in other brands of smoker. But we cooked pizza last week on a grill on the stone. And the coating is a natural clay type glazing. So it's just a special process that they do that is microscopically porous. So it's still porous, so you get the benefits of the stone absorbing that moisture and giving you that nice pizza crust, but it's easy to clean. And it's indestructible. You can cut right on this. You're not going to hurt. I mean, it breaks. When I say indestructible, I mean the coating. So you can cut the pizza right on here. You can do whatever, and it's dishwasher safe if you want to, but you can just clean it up. So I'm real happy to have the stones. We have a display of them out there. They come in a purple and olive green. I'm sorry, it's called something, some name out there that they would hate it if I said purple. But anyway, and this one's rouge, and I guess that's all in French maybe. N-O-L-T for black. So anyway. So those are the colors it comes in, and I'm going to be using the stone to make my challah bread. I decided to do a challah bread for you today because I just really love the presentation of it, and I love what it represents. In the Jewish tradition, for your Sabbath meal, they always have 2 loaves of challah bread. And the reason they have the 2 loaves is it represents the double portion that God provided on the 6th day so that they did not have to gather the bread and make their bread on the 7th day. Also, I'm going to show you, and I'm going to go ahead and do 2 loaves. I started to do one ahead of time, and I thought, since I'm going to do a 6-braided braid today for you, I better go ahead and do both of them in the class so you can watch the second time. So it's not that difficult, but it does take a little bit of just paying attention and kind of getting it. Let's do 45 minutes. Okay, so the turkey's up. We're fixing to set the timer for it. The recipe for your challah bread is page 11 in your cookbook. And I'm using the herb variation. So I did put some of our wonderful thyme and, what did we put in here, Sharon? Thyme and basil? Or, oh no, I made it. You don't know. How about that? And I don't know. Garlic, I put garlic in the dough. I put thyme. I don't know why that's not coming up. Yeah, I haven't either, because it's definitely, I've never seen it do it unless I forgot to, what?
It wasn't situated right.
Oh, okay.
It wouldn't pull it along.
Okay. Oh, every now and then I amaze myself. Wow. Okay, all right. So can you help me with this? Sure. Okay. All right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to divide I've divided it into 2 because one of the recipes makes 2 nice braids here. So, not so. Okay. Wrong. Y'all are seeing me. Okay, so now I'm going to divide each of these into 3 parts. Let's see if I got them somewhere remotely close. I love having a scale, even though I'm this good.
Humble too.
Yes. Whoa, not so good. Really not good.
Science her thing, math not so much.
Aw. Actually, okay. So now I'm going to roll the dough. I'm divided. This is for 1 loaf. I divided it into 6 parts. And now I'm going to roll a rope. Notice how I kind of tuck it in and wrap that floured surface around so that I'm not just digging into the dough, but it's keeping the floured surface on the outside, making it not so sticky to handle. I did use spelt today for this bread.
Time on this?
Let's just go 8 minutes now, or 6 minutes or something, since it's been boiling away. Okay. I thought you might enjoy having some spelt bread today. And if you want to go ahead and be dividing that one while I braid. They'll be for wheat, so you'll probably have to increase the flour. And I'm sorry, I didn't pay attention, but you know, probably going to be at least a cup more that you're going to need. Okay. All right. Okay. You're gonna love this. This is just so pretty, and I hope I can do it. It's been a while since I've done it. Had to rewatch the little video. There's a video online you can watch, and it's really good. The first one that popped up is my favorite. There's several, and it's funny. Everybody has a little different twist on the way they do it, but I like this one the best. Did you turn that down? Mm-hmm. Okay. That smells like it's burning again. Okay, so you just want to squish those ends together. I need to move over just a little bit. Okay. So we're just going to squish them together there at the top. So now you see I've got 6 strands. You got to remember which is your right and your left, and just work with your hands, okay? I'm going to take the rope on my right, and I'm going to take it across like that, okay? And I'm going to take the rope on my left and take it across. All right? Now I've got four braids in the middle, and I'm going to divide them. Okay? So part the Red Sea here. The bread sea. All right? So just separate them here. And now I'm going to take the one I crossed over first. Okay? I'm going to take it, the one on my left, and I'm going to bring it to the middle. All right? You always need a rope here. So now I'm going to take this one on the far right and take it across. All right? Now, part your bread sea. Bring this one to the middle. Now I need a rope over there, so take this one over here. All right? Part your bread sea. Bring this one down. I need a rope over here, so take this one up there. Part your sea. The spelt's a little stickier dough. Bring it down. And it's stretching the whole time okay? All right, I need a rope over here. So take that over. Part your sea. Bring this one down. Take it over here. Bring this one down. Take this one over here. I just got myself confused. Bring this one down. Take this one over here. Bring this one down. Take this one over here. Okay, are y'all following this? Bring this one down. Take this one over here. Bring this one down. It's getting thin there. Yeah, take this one over here. Bring this one down. Take this one over here. Bring this one down. Take this one over. Bring this one down. This one over.
Squish time.
This one down. This one over. This one down. This one over. And now we're just going to, yes, there we go. Okay, the spelt's a little softer dough. All right, so see, it's a little different braid. And then we're going to just sit it on our stone. Okay. All right, y'all ready? You want to see that again? All right. Yeah, I actually had to go back and look at it again last night just to make sure I remembered.
Was it a YouTube video?
It was. I just clicked in challah bread and it came up like one of the first ones. I forgot her name, Um, But the key is, let's don't make them quite so long this time because they really stretched. And if you're using spelt, the dough's a little softer, so don't make your ropes quite so thin and long. Let them be a little chubbier because it was really stretching there because it's a softer dough. All right? So you just got your 6 ropes. You're going to just squish them together at the top. Okay? All right. Starting on the right. Right always is right. Okay? See, the dough's kind of sticking. Let me sprinkle just a little flour here so it won't stick. Okay, so starting on the right, we're going to take it across and then take the left across. Okay, so I've got 2 ropes up there. Now I part my bread C, and then I take this one down the middle and go across with this one, okay? Part, and then take the right. And if you want to do this, whatever one you pick up, then so have your hands like this, right up top, left at the bottom. Bring it in the middle, and this one goes over, okay? So now, this one comes to the middle, this one goes over, okay? And always separate your 4. This one comes in, this one goes over, okay? And it's because you've always got to have strands up here and then separate. This one comes to the middle, this one goes over there to replace that. Separate, this one comes down, this one goes over, all right? See how that's doing? Okay, I lost my train of thought. That one went over, so this one comes down, okay? Am I in the overhead? All right. Okay, so now even if you have your phone call, or somebody comes and asks you a question, I need one here, so you know that it's going to come from this side, all right? So separate and bring this one down, all right? I need one here, so it's going to come from here. Always separate your 4, and that'll keep you straight. Then this one comes down. I need one here. Separate your 4. That's the key, is separating those 4 so you know where you are in this step. Bringing this one down, needs to go over here, separate the 4, bring this one down, take this one up, separate those 4. Because that's what gets confusing when I look down, I'm like, okay, where am I? And then there, and then separate, bring this one down, and then this goes over here. See, I'm having to think about it a minute. Separate, this one comes down, this one goes over here, separate, especially when it gets down here to the end. Some point you're going to have to just kind of tuck and roll, okay? And then just kind of turn that end under, okay? The symbolism behind the 6 strands represents the 6 days of the week, all the activities, all the blessings, all the things from God for 6 days, bringing them all together. And that's what it represents. And then it's a day of rest. And like I said, their table is always 2 loaves representing the double portion that God gives us on the day before the Sabbath, so we can have a rest. So that's why I wanted to make the challah bread for you, because it's just a beautiful centerpiece, as well as a reminder of all the blessings of God. It's a wonderful presentation on a Thanksgiving table, because isn't that what Thanksgiving is all about? We're remembering the things in life that God has given us that we're thankful for. I'm going to make a little egg wash here, little egg. Some people just use the egg white, but I use the whole egg because I don't want to waste. Inevitably the egg yolk kind of gets lost in the refrigerator, and there it is. And then it's like, wow, when was that in there? Okay. So I'm just going to give a nice little brush of an egg wash. This will make a nice shiny finish to the bread. I've also seen where you go ahead and bake it and then do the egg wash about 10 minutes before the bread is done. I've seen it several ways, so whatever works for you. It's a little easier for me to just go ahead and finish this bread and let it be ready to bake and be done with it. So there's my loaves, and our wonderful poppy seeds. You can do sesame seeds. I like poppy seeds. I like the color contrast there. I think it's you could certainly do a combination of both. Okay. And then you can even, this platter is so beautiful, you can even serve the bread right from here because you can cut right on it. So, and these are going to rise. You can even put these closer together and they'll rise together, touching. If you want to do that, for the sake of serving today, I thought I'd have 2 individual loaves. But that's another thing that they'll sometimes do as well, representing the double portion. To me, cooking and preparing food for other people, yes, it's tiring, and at the end of the day, I'm like, oh, I don't know, I want to do that again, But there's something very, very, very rewarding about preparing food and sharing it. I encourage you to share your home and your blessings with other people. And even if I know we're in difficult times, and even if you don't feel like you don't have a lot to share, remember Jesus fed 5,000 with 2 barley loaves or 5 barley loaves and 2 fish. What was it? And that little boy, I'm always amazed. I think that's a miracle that this young little boy even offered his lunch, that he would even consider, or even the disciple went after, can you say, give me your lunch? I'm just like, wow, that's kind of interesting. But, that they even had that. So our bread's going to rise here, and then we'll get it baking shortly. All right, we're going to pray, lay hands on our cranberry sauce, that whatever that happened, and I did not forget to push that back, so I don't know, I just evidently didn't get my lid situated just right. Yes, ma'am?
At this point is when you would freeze it?
At this point, if you were going to freeze it, I would freeze it now, yes. I would not freeze it on your stone, but I would put it on a pan. What I usually do is put it on a pan, let it get frozen really nicely, and try to wrap it if you can. But then once it's frozen and hard, especially with dinner rolls, they're fabulous. Freeze them on your cookie sheet. Once they're hard, you can throw them like little hockey pucks, little marbles in a bag, and little rocks, and they're fine. And then just keep them in your Ziploc bag in the freezer. About a week with the yeast is what I've found, that they'll stay nice, where they'll thaw and rise very nicely. So, and you can speed, on dinner rolls, you can speed that process up a little bit by putting them in a little bit of a warm oven once they're mostly thawed, to just, if that dough's still cold, to make them a little more light and fluffy, you can put your loaves or your rolls in a slightly warm oven, just like you would rise your bread regularly. Okay?
Can I ask you a quick question?
Uh-huh.
When you use the bread machine to make your dough to do this,
Uh-huh.
do you let it rise in the bread machine at all?
You can. Her question is, if you're using the bread machine, do you let it rise in there? The dough cycle usually has a rising step in there. I usually like to have 2 risings on my bread, once in the dough form, and then once, of course, after I've shaped it. But you got to have at least 1. But you can certainly cut that first rising short if you're in a hurry. But typically in the bread machine, the dough cycle does have a rising step. It has 2. I usually only have 1 rising on the dough step, and then move right into the second one. Shape it. If I'm in a really big hurry, I may just let it rest. You at least ought to, after you've kneaded the dough, you're going to find it's a lot harder to shape it if you just take it out as soon as you're done kneading it. So if you let it at least rest about 10 minutes and give that yeast time to grow and aerate the dough a little bit, you'll find it's easier to shape. So at least let it rest like that. So there's our dough and for our bread. All right, let me wash up my hands. I probably would, her question is, if I'm going to put it in the freezer, would I put the egg wash on it? I probably would. Yeah, I'd probably just go ahead and get it ready so that it's effortless when it comes out. I'm all about making it as easy as possible. Except when it comes to planning cooking classes. Then I'm like, I've got to show them this, I've got to show them that. Okay, so our cranberry is coming down. I've got the bread. Now we're going to build our dressing. Okay, so let's get our dressing ingredients over here. If you want to turn to that. That's like on the second page. And there's a lot of ways to make dressing. And my mother is very Southern. She had a certain way of making her dressing, and everyone in my family loves my mother's dressing. My siblings, their children, my nieces and nephews, and now my children really, really like this dressing. It's not a very gooey dressing. I saw recipes that put eggs in there. In fact, I had to kind of find and look for a recipe for dressing because I don't use a recipe. I really make it like my mother, like my mother made it, and it's just, she actually would take the roaster pan after the turkey was done, and she would take the turkey out and put the turkey on the platter and wrap it so it would stay in foil so it would stay warm. And then her turkey roaster is what she made her dressing in. I think this pan will be big enough. I'm going to hope that it will. But so anyway, this is how she just would make, and she always used the box cornbread mix, okay? The one that had a little sugar, a little sweetener in it. She liked that brand. And and she would always use that. And so I had to come up with, a way to get around that. And so I've just used the cornbread recipe. It's in the handout, but it is the one, I just doubled the one that's in my cookbook. And a lot of times, Southerners don't typically like sweet cornbread. That's a Yankee thing, just like y'all put sugar on your grits. That's weird, but anyway, I won't judge you or anything, but I just think you're a little crazy. Don't put it in your tea and you put it on your grits. What's up with that? But, oh well. Y'all did beat us, though, in the War of Northern Aggression, didn't you? I noticed what I did call that war. It was not a civil war. The War of Northern Aggression. Okay, so I've crumbled up my, I'm going to actually divide it here. I think that's going to be a little full once I get, I love my USA pans, my nonstick USA pans that are really, truly nonstick. So I'm going to take about a third of this. Great Christmas present. Yep. A cup of corn makes about a cup and a half of flour, so that's about a cup of corn. I use popcorn. I love popcorn. It's a little more expensive than your regular corn, but you can pop it and eat it. So, pop it and eat it and grind it and eat it. So it works both ways, and I think actually the popcorn makes a little sweeter cornbread. So I'm just going to do this. And then what I did for breadcrumbs, and this kind of can take the place of stuffing mix, I just took some Ezekiel bread from our bakery and had Sharon, my helper, cut it up in little cube croutons, which you can use these for croutons. We basted it with some olive oil, I just squeezed about 6 cloves of garlic and about that much olive oil, about a quarter cup of olive oil. And then put some Italian seasoning, a little salt, and we just crumbled the breadcrumbs. Cut the bread cubes and tossed it with the olive oil and garlic. You can season it up however you want. Don't buy stuffing mix. You don't need that. This is what it is. It's just they're selling you their old bread that they've dried out for you. So I think I'll use this little guy. Works great to.
Did you try that at all, Sue?
I stuck it in the oven at 400 for about, maybe 15 minutes, 10 or 15 minutes. And then we just turned the oven off and let it just sit in there watching it, because one time I did that and it burned. So just watch it when you leave it in there and make sure that, it's not getting burned. but it'll continue to, it really got nice and crispy just leaving it in that oven while it cooled down. So I think this will work. I've done regular bread in this little gizmo at home. This thing is fabulous. It's a great way to get your kids chopping those onions and things for you. Yep, that did it. Feel kind of manly, like I'm a weed eater on my kitchen counter.
If you use those beaters, they make such great noise.
Uh-huh.
People to
Yeah. So I'm just gonna fill it up here. And you can use it whole if you want to, because it's gonna, and I will use some whole. My mother always put saltine crackers in hers, but I don't want the white flour chemicals. So I'm just gonna, so I just made these. And now, like I said, now what my mom would always do was she would have her, she would take the giblets, the innards, you know, you want to make sure you take those out of your turkey before you cook it. Yeah, didn't one time. Just take those out. She would actually boil the neck in the broth with the onions and celery, and that would flavor her water there too. So there's several things you can do here. And my mom does not put meat in her dressing. Some people do. That's not really, my mom, it was just cornbread and the crackers and some stale bread, usually the heels, and that was it. So it was very simple. The recipes, some of the recipes I found, like I said, had like 4 eggs in this. And that would make more like a northern version of, I'm picking on y'all today. Anybody northern? We have any north? Yikes, I'm almost outnumbered. Well, hi, y'all. So nice to have you. Y'all come back now. Don't all leave at once. I'll be nice the rest of the day. I'll try. Oh, I forgot the pies. I thought they were on my list. Huh. I missed them. Yeah, I thought that was next, and I missed it. Yep, I'll do it right now. Okay, so what we're going to do here, yeah, the pies cook for an hour, so I better get them going. All right, so now I'm going to take my celery. My celery and onions. And I love a pasta, I use a pasta spoon. Just works real well. I'm going to do this. I will shortly. Yeah, I can't multitask those though. All right. And then, now my mom did not like sage, but I do. So I'm going to use a little sage here. We noticed that this said a half a cup of finely chopped sage. Whoa, that's a lot. And I don't think, I didn't even put it in this mixture. So I don't think that you necessarily would want that much. So I didn't use it at all. Like I said, I had to kind of go find a recipe and tweak it and make it look as close to what my mom was doing, because I knew y'all were gonna, if I just mix this up, y'all would go, okay, where's the recipe? So I had to try to find something to help me along with that. So now, would it be right if it was fresh? Okay. Okay. That just seemed like a lot to then have it in there. So, but just, you know, if you don't have the fresh sage, like I said, my mom never, she does not like sage, and she never used it. And I have discovered I do like sage, so I just usually use a little bit of our dried sage now. So there's my cornbread dressing, and you're going to find that this dressing is a little more dry than, you know, maybe what you're used to. It's a little more crumbly. So now I need to scoop some of this broth over. Yes. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And nuts. I mean, some people put pecans. I saw some recipes when I was looking for like hazelnut and squash and all kinds of things. So there's a lot more creative things that you can do to the dressing if you want. It's just like I said, this is what I grew up on. This is what my kids have grown up on, and this is what they love. So, okay. So there we go. And now I'm going to just put some salt and pepper to taste here. And pepper. In another week, we'll have these pepper grinders available. They'll make great Christmas gift. They are made in the USA, in Maine, by the largest drumstick manufacturer in the world. And when you're drying and curing wood for a drumstick, you have to be very particular that that wood is not going to dry out and split and crack. So anyway, I just really love those. Whoops, there's a piece of cornbread I didn't get. So you just want it to be kind of moist, and then we'll dry it out by baking it. Not too moist. This one, it looks like I got a little too moist. And it might be a little crumbly then. You almost think that getting it moister will make it stick together more, but it actually kind of crumbles that cornbread, makes it disintegrate. I'm just going to give a taste. Okay, I can take a little more sage. I got scared. My mom, like I said, she doesn't like it, but I do. Oh, these new herbs, you just can't, I can't wait for you to smell them. They're just delightful. Okay, a little more salt. Okay, all right, we're going to stir these up. Oh dear. I missed my pies. Somehow I was like, I thought I was supposed to do pies next. I must have spent about 3 hours trying to figure out how to do this, in what order, and yes, ma'am. Olive oil, garlic, and Italian seasoning. Okay. All right, so these are ready to go in. I'll put them in the 350-degree oven. And if you can either cook them high, like at 400, if you want them to get done more quickly and brown a little more, or you can cook them about 350 and then just kind of let them be in there for about 45 minutes. All right, let's set this aside. Let's get this cleaned up. And if you could get this wiped out, washed out, and dried for me, I need it for pecans. All right, whoa. I knew I should have done the pecans. Uh-oh, what was that supposed to go in? Huh. Supposed to go in the dressing. Oh well, my mom never put it in there. Like I said, I had to find that recipe, and so remember, recipes are suggestions. Don't hold anybody to any of it, especially not me. So, all right. Okay, we are going to make the pies now. And I need my rolling mat. It went to the kitchen where I had rolled out the dough. Not sure how anyone makes a pie crust anymore without some type of food processor. I love it for making biscuit dough and pie dough. Well, with the whipping cream biscuits now, I don't use it so much there because I don't have to cut the butter in. Okay. So this is our Mega Blender. I love it because it's built like a food processor but acts like a blender. So it's really handy because it will blend as well as process. On the Mega Blend, you want to use the flat blade for your pie crust. This is 2 1/4 cups. I'm using spelt for the pie dough. And I need my recipe book. I forgot. The recipe for the double pie crust is in my cookbook. Okay, so I need a teaspoon of salt. And since I am using spelt, if you use spelt or soft wheat here, you're going to increase that flour to 2.5 cups. Okay. Now, thing about pie dough, it must be cold. Must be cold. So you want your butter to be cold and your water to be cold. So for my cold water, I'm going to put some ice in my measuring cup and then fill it with water and let it sit here while I cut in my butter. You want to just fill that with water? Okay. And I don't know why my recipe says 2/3 of a cup plus 2 tablespoons of butter. 1/3 of a cup of butter is 5 tablespoons. So 2/3 of a cup would be 10 tablespoons, plus 2 tablespoons would be 12 tablespoons, and that's 1.5 cups. So that's 1.5 sticks of butter. So if you might want to make that quick little note there. There we go. No, just, that's good. All right, so that blended in my salt and my flour. Now I'm going to cut in my butter. Okay. Okay. And I just cut that cold butter. You want the butter cold. Do not sit it out. Do not get it out until you're ready to use it. 1.5 sticks of butter for a double pie crust. Just go on and know that you are going to consume a lot of butter on Thanksgiving Day. It's just going to happen. And so the things you need for your shopping list to make your Thanksgiving meal are going to be, I think I've got it. I've got it all.
Okay.
Yeah. So now I'm going to just cut in my butter. You don't want to go too long on this. You just want it to be crumbly. See how it's nice and crumbly? And that's why also you want to use that. If you have one of these, you want to use that flat blade because the processing blade will kind of process it and it'll gum it up too quickly. All right, so now I've got my water has gotten nice and cold here. And I'm going to use 7 tablespoons. I love my little mini measurer here for my tablespoons. Even if you get a chunk of ice, it's not that bad. Take those out. Okay, so there's my 4. And then my 3. Just dump it all in there at one time. Oh yes, natural mined mineral salt for everything. I don't use anything else. Okay, now I'm just going to process this as minimally as possible until it kind of forms a ball, or at least gets kind of nice and stuck together. Sometimes it'll actually grab and all get in a ball, but if it starts kind of getting stuck like that, I go ahead and turn it off, and then I just do the rest out on my pastry cloth. So, all right, now I'm ready. If you want to come get this out of here. Just set it back there because I will need it for the sweet potatoes. All right. Okay, so now we need a pastry cloth. I do love the silicone ones. I absolutely love them. I have used those, the plastic ones. I love those for chopping, but I love these for rolling dough because they don't move and the stuff does not stick to them. So I'm going to need some flour. Any of y'all proficient at pie dough? You're pretty good at pie dough. I'm going to let you roll the next one if that's okay while I mix it up, and then we'll get it ready since I'm a little behind schedule here. Imagine that. Never happens. Never have y'all seen that happen here before. Okay, your pie dough, you want it to be a little stiff, and you want it to stay cold, so you don't want to fool around with this. You know, you don't want to be kneading it and messing with it too much. Okay. And Sharon, if you'll get this washed and brought back, okay, because I'm going to need it for the next act. Okay. So, but I am going to kind of squish it together just ever so slightly. If your butter's nice and cold, you may still see some little strands of butter in there. Okay. I like to divide mine. Because this is a double pie crust. So I'm going to divide it. You can see I use a kitchen scale a lot. Okay, that's 11 ounces. Ooh, that's 9.6. Okay, 10.1, 10.5. Okay, now what I do is I'm going to just get this into a round. And like I said, you really don't want to like dig around with this a lot. You want to handle it as minimally as possible. And if it's going to take you a long time, if you're a little slower, you can go ahead and you could set this in the refrigerator if you want to. In fact, if you want to take the small one and go ahead and be dealing with it. You got room over there for her to work over there? Okay. Yeah, there we go. And then we'll get them done about the same time. And that way that won't warm up too quickly. And there's a pie pan here.
Can you sit it underneath and then I
Yep.
can carry this?
There you go, ma'am.
Fabulous. Thank you.
Thank you. My wonderful helper's going to get me back on track. Okay. It does have the markings for where you want to go with it, but I didn't pay attention because it's all covered with flour. But I love the pastry roller. I really do, because you can really make a nice round pie dough here. Pecan pie is one of those things that I love. No one in my family likes it. No one in my family likes pecans, or pecans, as I grew up saying. I mean, that's just, you know, my husband doesn't, my kids don't. Oh, you do. Caleb does. That's right. Well, I forgot. Growing up, you didn't. See, you finally got some brain cells now that you're... Oh, that's true. You're right. It's just all the other ones are like, oh, it's got nuts in it. Oh, you would have thought I'd put some foreign substance in there. Do you still not like pecans? See? Yeah. Oldest one kind of sits. Yes.
That's not even a flaw. It's just an opinion, and I have lots of those.
Okay. So there we go. There's our pie dough. And this is, if you make sure you flour your surface nicely. Some people, if you roll it out too thin, I've seen books where it says fold it so you can see where the center is and then open it out. It just depends on, you know, your method. Wow, you're fast.
Well, mine's a little thicker. But
Okay.
I like it that way. Do you want it bigger?
Well, yeah.
you
I
want
was-
it bigger so
yeah.
you can fold it? Okay.
Yeah.
I can do that.
I know you can. I have confidence. Okay, what I do is I roll it. I do like the thick. I know what she's saying, but here's what my mother-in-law taught me. I used to trim it up to the very edge of the pie pan, and what she taught me was trim it with only a little hanging over, and then fold the crust under. So fold it under so you get a nice thick crust. And I never do that. I always trimmed it right up to the edge. And so now I just take mine out and just out a little hanging over, not a lot, about 1/2 inch. And then, because also too, remember, they have a tendency to shrink when you put them in the oven. Have you ever noticed that? You have nice crust, and then all of you went, what happened? So, and of course, you could take a fork and press it to make that look. There's so many things you could do. There's pie rollers that can roll around that edge, but I have always liked the kind of fluted edge.
Can I do it?
Can you do it? Can you?
I like this part.
Okay, there you go.
I won't eat it, but I like to do this part.
Okay. Pies were one of the first things I made as a young girl, and it was something that my mom didn't make, but I just really loved pie. And the funny thing was, the first thing I ever made was a blueberry pie, and I did not like cooked fruit pies, but I loved making them. So I used to make this blueberry pie and apple pie, but I never ate them. I just like to do it. So there you go. See, she's saying she's not going to eat it. And all you're doing is you're kind of
Doing this.
This, yeah. All righty. Good deal. There we go. Yes, ma'am.
So you're saying fold it.
1.5 sticks. I'll finish it, Denise. Thank you. So I'm just going to trim this to even it up, just like Denise did a great job of getting it pretty even all the way around. You want to just finish that one then? You're so good at it. Look at her pie. It's 1.5 sticks. 5 tablespoons, or 2/3 a cup of butter is 5 tablespoons. You know how it has the little markings on there, but it's 5 tablespoons. So here, let me get this out of our way now, if you don't mind. Okay. All righty. Now, one of the reasons that I have never made pecan pie, besides my family hating it, is that...
That's not reason enough?
No.
Okay.
Because every now and then, you just have to do something for yourself, don't you? You just have to indulge. But I do like Thanksgiving, actually, because I do like casseroles and things like that. So it's always fun to go to someone else's house, and my sister-in-law makes the best squash casserole. Karen, that works out front, the best. She's just a phenomenal cook. She needs to be back here teaching classes. But anyway, all right, I'm going to make the filling for the pumpkin pie, the pecan pie. And I had to search far and wide for a recipe that did not use corn syrup. And I actually found this. I tweaked it a little bit, and I made it the other day, and it was very delicious. I'm thinking, though, that you could even cut down on the sucanat. It's a little sweet, but pecan pie is sweet anyway. But the 4.5 cups of sucanat, I think you could probably cut that back to probably 4 for sure. But I was afraid to try it today right in the class, so I'm going to go ahead and use the 4.5 cups of sucanat. So, all right, so we have the butter that we need to melt here. Okay. Wow, the turkeys, we got all these smells going on. Do y'all smell it at all? Okay. All right. I never knew how easy pecan pie was. I've never made it before. So I had to work on this. And like I said, 2 reasons. My family didn't like it, and corn syrup. So I actually read that found this recipe using brown sugar, and the rave reviews saying how delicious it was, that it actually was not as sweet as the corn syrup versions. To me, it was still pretty sweet, so that's why I'm thinking you really could cut this down here. Okay, watch how easy this is. I thought you had to boil that custard and all that and kind of thicken it up. Had no idea. You just load that stuff up with some sugar and eggs and pop it in the oven, and you're good to go. So I'm going to do my 6 eggs here. And if I've got my little nut chopper, somebody can bring me that. Oh, thank you, ma'am.
I know what you're talking about.
How long is this wet turkey input?
Oh, yes.
Hour and a half?
Hour and a half, I think.
That's
Yeah.
how we're starting.
Really? Even on the inside? Has it been an hour and a half? Okay, he's saying the smoked turkey is almost done. Does anyone want to walk out there? I'm just going to mix up the pecan pie. Anybody want to walk out there and see the smoker? You want to? Let's see it in action. All right. I'm just going to mix up this I keep calling it pumpkin pie. And so we're just going to mix the eggs and the water until it's smooth. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, in fact, the recipe had chocolate chips. When you see, I'm going to put the pecans on some of them on the bottom. It had you putting, I can't remember how many ounces of chocolate chips or shaved chocolate on the bottom. Absolutely, you could. Okay, so now I need to add my sucanat. Whew, there we go. The butter.
Holy smokes.
This makes 2 pies though now, so don't go getting a sugar high on me already. So salt, we're going to do a teaspoon of salt. Love my little flipper measuring spoon. There we go. And the butter, is it ready?
Almost.
What's not can probably do it. And then our vanilla extract, tablespoon. Thereabouts. Stir that. Okay. All right, now to finish this up, all we're going to do is take about less than half of your pecans. And I had bought pecan pieces without realizing it, but you know, if you want really a prettier pie, you'll do the halves. Will make a nicer, prettier pie on top. But I actually like the pieces. You'll see when it comes out of the oven. Again, using my little weed eater. This is called a veggie chop, by the way. Can Catherine do this? Mm-hmm. Her 8-year-old can chop onions and things for her. All right, so I'm going to do part of my pieces here.
It's a great way for your kids to help chop vegetables and things like that without having to hand them a sharp knife and stand there. It's also great to take camping because you can chop all your vegetables and things like that in there.
Just a little more. Okay. Okay. So I'm just going to kind of split this. This was a pound of pecans, so I'm just going to split it like that.
You mean in your sleeve?
Huh?
Because that totally brings back memories.
Yes. You want to do this one? Years ago, we had a cinnamon roll baking business, and we made biscuits and cinnamon rolls and delivered them to a gas station at 6 o'clock in the morning for
Like delivered
at 6. So we got up, and they were, how old were you? 9 or 10, and she's the oldest, so they went down from there. And so it was in the winter time, of course, part of it, and I would have long sleeves on. And so I'd always go, I'd have dough all over my hands, and I'd go, can somebody come push up my sleeve? So that's what she just said. She said, can I push up your sleeve? That brings back memories. So that's what we're doing up here, having a little mother-daughter moment. Aren't we precious?
It's better than a Lucy and Ethel moment like in our last class. So.
This is true. All right, I'm just going to kind of eyeball this to see about half, and we're just going to let those pecans float. I hope I didn't put more than... Whoops, that wasn't good. Oh well. Oh well. Oh well is right. Yeah, I should have stopped a little sooner. So one will be a little skimpier than the other, unless I can. Nah.
Yeah.
All right, and so just going to sprinkle the pecans on top. Okay. All righty.
You have a lot of unused dishes over there.
Don't worry, we're getting there. We got green bean casserole, sweet potato casserole. There we go. All righty. Those go in the oven. They bake for an hour. At several of the recipes, there was like 350, but regularly I saw 400. Turn your oven down to 350. So I'm going to put them in a 400-degree oven and immediately turn it down. It said you could cook it for 10 minutes at 400 and then turn it down, but I thought, that ain't happening. I'll forget it, and it'll cook at 400 and it'll burn. So we're going to turn it immediately down to 350. Slow as these ovens are to respond. They're probably just now at 400 anyway. So anyway.
1 hour?
50 minutes. Actually, set the timer for 30 minutes. You want to set the timer for 30 minutes. Check them. Make sure those pecans are not getting too brown, too done. They are shielded with a little parchment paper or foil if you use foil. So, okay, so check them in 30 minutes. Okay. All righty. Let's move on. I'm probably going to use that again if you want to rinse that out and get those tree nuts out of there. All right. Now I'm back on track. Now we're going to make our carrots and our sweet potato casserole. Okay. First, I'm going to cook my carrots and my sweet potatoes in a pressure cooker, but I did this fun thing for you. I wanted to show you how I did my pumpkin, to cook my pumpkin. You should be able to get them free if they're still around. Some of the churches have already cleaned them out. If not, look around. But I actually love, the little pie pumpkin. This one's done today because it'll fit in my 6-liter pressure cooker. And now that it's cooled down, I just sit the whole pumpkin in my pressure cooker with the trivet and some water in the bottom. And I pressured it for 10 minutes. And now it's totally done. All I have to do is cut it open, get the seeds out, and it's so easy now once it's done to cut it. Now I'll just scrape the seeds out and puree the meat, okay, in a blender. So easy. You want to hand me the tray from the dehydrator? You can freeze it at this point if you want. I freeze it in 1 and 2 and 3 cup packages because 1 cup is for my pumpkin muffins, 2 cups, I don't remember what I use for pumpkin bread, and 3 cups for my pumpkin pies. But let me tell you what I've learned to do. There's a tray. If I take this puree, spread it in my dehydrator. Look at this. This is 1 cup of pumpkin puree. It's going to come up. It's crispy. Now throw this in your blender and powder it up. And you get this. And 1/8 of a cup of this powder is a cup of pumpkin. And now all I have to do is rehydrate. It's actually about 1/2 cup of powder to 1 3/4 cup of water, and that'll make 3 cups of mashed pumpkin. So it's ready for my pumpkin pies. Amazing. And one lady told me she got, I don't remember how many pumpkins in 1 quart jar. It was, I mean, if you think, that is 1 pumpkin minus this, that right there. So it's about 1/2 cup of pumpkin, the powder, and about 1 3/4 cup of water should make your 3 cups of pumpkin for your pie. Okay? So we can whisk that. But I wanted to show you that so you could see how easy it is to cook your pumpkin. And if y'all want to deal with this, you can. I mean, so we don't come to the end of the class and we're like, what do we do with this pumpkin now? So, all right, I'm just going to rinse this because I'm fixing to put sweet potatoes and carrots in here. So I'm going to put, the original recipe had me like roasting my carrots separately and my sweet potatoes separately, and for an hour, my sweet potatoes in the oven and the carrots in a pot and cooking them. I'm like, no, I can so do this in a pressure cooker. Sweet potatoes are one of my most favorite things to cook in a pressure cooker. They take 3 minutes. 3 minutes. So, oh, I thought she was getting my tray. Okay, so here's my tray, my sweet potatoes. Whoops, that was interesting. Yeah, that's fine. I'm going to use a little more water in there. Okay. Do that. I actually think I'm going to need the 8 liter. That's a lot of sweet potatoes. I must have only done 1/2 a recipe both times I made it. All right, so I'm going to get out my bigger pressure cooker, which is here. We don't want the broccoli cheddar soup fiasco, now do we? Okay, so a little bigger. You can do 1/2 it's real easy to half the recipe, so if you don't have this big a pressure cooker, you can, but I love, 8 liter is what I have. I love it. So, there we go. Now I'll transfer these to here. I had forgotten I had half the recipe the several times that I made it, because it makes a pretty good bit. Even the half recipe makes, in fact, Sharon, if you'll get that, oh, I'll get it. Just get that casserole dish with the sweet potato. Not in the pressure cooker. It really doesn't. And I did peel these, you know, a lot of times if I'm doing other types of dishes, but because I'm doing the carrots and the sweet potatoes together, and I just didn't want the hassle of having to scoop them out and take the skin off then. If I'm just doing sweet potatoes by themselves, I'll just leave the skin on, and it's a lot easier to pull that pulp out of there, you know, slice them just in rounds, and it'll just peel right off, and then you can go from there. But because I added carrots, I thought this was such a nice blend here to do carrots and sweet potatoes. It gives it a really, really nice flavor, and I was really pleased. A couple of weeks ago, I did a pre-trial cooking. I did the turkey and the sweet potatoes, and I forget what, the kamut salad. And this was this and the kamut salad were our favorite that day that I cooked all this. So again, I'm just going to put my lid into place, making sure everything's, I've got water down in the bottom. I do have the trivet in here, the insert, and just lock that lid. Okay, let's see. Our turkey is done back here. See how effortless that was? I think I might have to, while this comes up to pressure, I'm going to move on to the next thing that I'm cooking, because I wasn't thinking about that being so much here. Let's go ahead and work on our green bean casserole. So. Yeah, that's what I was saying. The pressure cooker turkey is done. So I'll tell you what, let's bring that cooker over here. No, you know what? He's got to use that. Let's just move the turkey over there where that is, and I'll use this burner. This can go, and this can go, and this can go. Thank you. I'm not sure what that butter's for. That's scary. Oh, that was the dressing butter. Okay, so this is going to just be coming up to pressure, so we'll just scoot it over here. All right, green bean casserole. How do you replace, there's a couple of things that you got to replace. How do you replace nasty cream of chicken soup? Sorry, did I really say that? Yes, it's full of chemicals, full of milk if you have milk allergies, full of usually MSG, gluten, all kinds of things in there. And then the little French fried onion rings. You're like, how are we going to get around that? What we did was we fried up some shallots, very, very crispy, and we'll put those on the top. So I need a frying pan. Caleb, do you still have it over there, or is it moved over here? Oh, okay. You want to get me a big frying pan? That's good. Or actually get me the bigger one, because we got to do the mushrooms. The biggest one in there? Okay. Okay, so if you want to turn to the, we could do that one. We could do that one. The healthified green bean casserole. So we're going to heat our pan. I love the Fissler frying pans. They are pricey, but they will last a lifetime. They're a lifetime investment, and I don't know that they have a lifetime guarantee, but they have a, I believe, 10-year, is it? Do you remember? But it was interesting. I was talking to Maria Speck, the author of the Ancient Grains cookbook, and like I said, she's lived part of her life in Germany, and I was talking to her about pressure cooking, and she was like, oh, what kind of pressure cookers do you use? And I said, Fissler. And later that day, I got an email from her. She goes, oh my goodness, Fissler, that's all the cookware I use from Germany. And she goes, I've had mine for 25 years. So, and I'm sure that it gets used quite a bit. Caleb, any tricks on the shallots here that I need to know about? Slow and steady?
Yeah.
Okay.
I use a little bit of coconut oil with your olive oil.
Okay, do you have any over there still, that little cup?
It just raises the smoking temperature so you don't burn your olive oil.
Okay. Okay, we had a little trouble yesterday frying these the shallots without them burning. So you want to bring this heat up. You want to get the pan hot, but then you don't want it to be so hot that it burns. And what Caleb suggested was, because we kept burning them the other day, and if you burn them, take my word for it, start over. Don't put them in, because I went, oh, they're not that bad, and I ate half the burned ones that we made anyway, because they were so nice and crispy, and I like the flavor of onions, not particularly burned ones, but I ate them, and I eat most anything. And but when we tasted the green bean casserole yesterday, I wanted Sharon to taste it because she said that's her husband's favorite, and she was like, I said, well, I healthified it, I got it fixed for you, and we tasted it, and the first day it was fine, but after melding, it tasted like burnt onions. And so really don't ruin your dish if you burn them. So just kind of steady and slow with the shallots to a point of getting them crispy. And it is a little tedious, but you can go ahead and just kind of do them ahead of time. Just a couple of tablespoons?
Yeah.
Okay.
The heat needs to be high to get crispy. If it's not high enough, then you're just going to caramelize.
Right.
They're going to
And another trick is you don't want to put them all in there at one time. That's why you'll see it says do about a quarter of them at a time. So just put some cooking loving person on the shallot job. Okay. What's going on there? Yeah, everything cut off for some reason. I don't know why. All right, if you've never worked with shallots, huh? Yes. Kind of got so much out here I can't even work. Okay, so these are our shallots. Shallots are just a little sweeter, a little milder than your onions. You could certainly use onions here. Ashley even has a recipe for onion rings where we dust them with, I think we dip them in some egg and dust them with some flour and they bake in the oven.
Like egg whites and water.
Egg.
You dip them in that and then dip them in your like breadcrumb mixture and then lay them out on a cookie sheet and bake
Yeah.
them in the oven.
So
They're really good.
they're really tasty. And so I think you could certainly do that if you don't want to do the shallots here. But the shallots are nice. They're very sweet. I have dehydrated Vidalia onions, and they taste just like those little onion rings. So those would be nice here as well. All right, so our oil is hot. So I'm going to turn it down. Did you do it on about 6?
Did it on 2.
Oh.
After I got it hot, I turned it down to 2.
Okay.
They're smoking.
All right. So we're just going to put our shallots in here. Like I said, you don't want to do like you don't want to load it up and toss them around. You don't want to stir them really. You want to like let them fry. I'm going to get a fork and separate that one. Okay. And that's about all. One layer is about all you want in there at one time. Yeah, and it's getting really hot here. Paper towel. So and you just want to do it in batches because it's 6 shallots that you're going to do, and that was about 1.5 there. So we just want to let them get golden here, and just be patient. And then we're going to fry we're going to saute our mushrooms in this shallot oil, and the shallots flavor that oil. So then we'll use that oil to to do the mushrooms. If after doing several batches your oil burns a little bit, then I would just start with fresh oil. I don't think it's that important to have your shallot flavored oil as it would be to have the burned oil. So just know that. Yeah, I just don't use peanut oil. I use extra virgin olive oil for everything, and it actually has a fairly high smoke point. It really does. I fry everything in olive oil, and then like you said, with what Caleb suggested was adding this. The coconut oil has a high one too. So just any of those oils, your peanut oil, your safflower oil, your corn oil, any of the ones you're buying off the shelf, they're so processed, and usually any of your seed oils, corn oil, all those, they have to use a solvent to pull that oil out of there. So I just avoid other oils. I just find olive oil works everywhere. Where it doesn't, coconut oil, butter, that's what I use. So anyway, okay, I've got plenty of, oh, did I turn it down to 1? So, all right, come on, come on. You know what I did? I think I set the timer over there by mistake and I didn't turn it off. And so it turned itself off. All righty.
Are the settings for your heat like 1 to 10? Or?
Yeah, it's 1 to 9, the settings on these. These are very powerful, I'm discovering. Like, I like to maintain the pressure at home. I'm on medium to medium low, somewhere in there, depending on how full the pressure cooker is. Here it's like 2, almost the lowest setting. So, all right, I'm going to pull these out because I think they're nice and golden on the back side. And like I said, I don't want them to burn. Caleb did such a nice job on the ones he did for me ahead of time. I think I'll use...
There you go.
Oh, okay. Oh, there you go. I forgot I had a slotted spoon in there.
I'll get it out if you want.
Okay, I'm going to dump the mushrooms in here. So we're just going to saute our mushrooms. And Caleb, if you want to get that burner going, I'm going to let you take the mushrooms over there to finish. We're just going to saute our mushrooms. A little salt here on the mushrooms. And you can use any kind of mushrooms. I used the little baby Bellas the other day, the first day I tried it and working on this recipe. I found they stayed a little tough. Maybe I just didn't, they held their firmness. I think the white mushrooms tend to cook down a little softer. Okay, so you just want these to be nice and tender. They'll start cooking out some liquid, and you just want to cook that liquid out of there. So you want them to cook down till they're nice and soft, so you're not biting into hunks of mushrooms. I just didn't feel like that was the right texture. So that's why I went to the white mushrooms. So I'm going to let him take those over and cook them down for me while we steam the green beans, and then we'll bring them back, okay? I need a pot like that. Forgot how much I was doing in this class, doubling. Okay, in the Bissler cookware, to steam, you want just a little bit of water in the bottom. And I'm going to put my beans in. And I like to do a little salt in here when I'm steaming them. I think potatoes and beans and some of those things, if you don't get them salty when you're cooking them, it's almost like you just can never get that dish quite salty enough. So just a little salt there to steam. Yep, if that's what you're used to. Yep. Or I home can So, okay, Caleb's going to pull the turkey out of the smoker. Bottom drawer. Right there. All right. I'm sorry, what? I think the bread is ready to go in the oven. A 351, which is this bottom one here. If you want to bring it back here where we can show it. The bread is risen. See? I don't know if you remember how small it was. Yep. So we're going to get that cooking. And if you would find the mashed potatoes and bring them over here for me, that foil covered dish, we'll put that on the bottom or on the, let me show them first. Yeah. One thing I discovered, I love the pressure cooker for mashed potatoes. We have so many mashed potatoes now, it's like every other day we have mashed potatoes. Maybe that's a little bit of exaggeration, but it's just so easy. Exactly like I did with the sweet potatoes, trivet in the bottom, little bit of water to cover the bottom of the pan, throw your potatoes in, bring that pressure up, 4 minutes, they're ready. Mash them right there in the pot is what I do. They're ready to go. So for years, for Thanksgiving, Christmas Eve, I mean, we have mashed potatoes. Like I said, we have mashed potatoes a lot. And, but I always did my mashed potatoes like at the end, you know, because they get cold so quickly, you know, so I always wanted to do that. And it was always, though, even though it was easy, and I usually cooked them ahead because in the pressure cooker, everything cooks so hot, so they stay hot for a long time. So I could cook them and set them aside and just mash them when I was ready. So it was, I thought, oh, that's so easy. But then it was always this pot and this dirty, and there was all the mashed potatoes and everything else was on the table, and it was this last minute kind of, you know, doing this thing. Well, then I discovered that you can do them ahead of time, that mashed potatoes really heat up very, very nicely as long as you give them plenty of time to heat up. Because when they're cold, they kind of firm back up. And, but if you put them in a casserole dish and then just give them their 45 minutes or whatever to heat up, they work very nicely. So I made the mashed potatoes yesterday. And I didn't mash them very much. My family kind of likes them chunky. If you like them a little smoother, just go ahead and go for it. And I put a little parchment there because I don't like foil touching my food, but you really have to have something. You have to have foil unless you have a dish that has some kind of oven-proof cover, because you do want it covered. And then just pop this in the oven and it'll be ready. So that got that out of the way and made my meal preparation for Thanksgiving or Christmas Eve dinner or whatever a little less stressful. How's the dressing looking there? Is it?
Well, there was no timer for it.
Oh, okay.
So it's been in for, I put the pies in 25 minutes ago.
Okay.
And the stuffing was already in. So
Okay. Can you check it? Or let me check it. I would swap them around because that's looking nice and brown. In fact, here. Yeah, you want to show them? Here's our dressing. It's really pretty much done. We may put it on the bottom, swap it around because the other one's not as brown. So we're going to swap it and let it stay in there just a few minutes with that. Here's one of the cool things about the Fissler, this set of pots. I think they now make it with a glass lid, but when they were making them like this little button here turns red when it's boiling inside. And now to steam it, really all I have to do is turn it off and just let it sit for 3 or 4 minutes, and the beans will perfectly steam. You can do it in the pressure cooker. I really love fresh green beans in the pressure cooker, and you only pressure them for 2.5 minutes. Same thing, put your trivet in the bottom, a little water, pile your beans in, salt, exactly like I did here, but you want to bring that pressure up, pressure them 2.5 minutes, and then instead of slow releasing it, letting it just sit there and pressure come down, you want to stop that cooking, because if you let it take 10 minutes for the pressure to come down, you're going to have mushy green beans, baby food, okay? Great baby food. So you'll want to take the pressure cooker, you would want to take over to the sink, run cold water over it to bring that pressure down and stop the cooking. But if you want them just steamed where they're still crispy, I would only go 1 or 2 minutes in the pressure cooker. Oh my, my. Here's our turkey. Wait, do you smell this? And you cut it and made sure it was done inside?
I stuck a thermometer in it.
Oh, well, there you go. That works.
If you cut into it while it's still hot, all the juices come.
There you go. There you go. So we're going to wrap that so it stays nice and warm. And also, you always want to let your meat set and kind of rest, 10, 15 minutes at least. But we're going to let it set till we're ready to eat it. So I'm going to set this aside. I forgot what's in here.
Your mashed potato recipe.
Oh, man, that was supposed to be cooking. I'm sorry.
Mashed potato recipe.
There's no recipe. Hang on just a minute. Let me get situated here. Get my green beans off. I just used milk, salt and pepper, butter, and sour cream. Throw some cheese in there if you want cheesy. You know, I think I burned the cranberries.
You cook the potatoes with a peel?
I do. I do.
You use regular baked potatoes or red potatoes?
Anything. I use the Yukon, the red, whatever you want. All right. Hang on, I'm going to transfer that to another dish because I did, in fact, burn that a little bit on the bottom when that lid wasn't locked on there. So I'm going to get that out of there because it doesn't taste burned now, but if I continue to cook it in here, it is. Some things with the pressure cooker, if you do not get enough water, or like what happened there, I didn't get that lid locked on right. I guess it just wouldn't be the class if I didn't do something. I never burn anything at home in the pressure cooker. It's just weird. So, all right, but I'm going to finish up my my cranberry sauce and let it be simmering here. Okay, my sweet potatoes are coming up. And these are our dried cranberries. That was the orange zest for the cranberry sauce. All the recipes are in your book. And these are the dried cranberries that are infused with, sweetened with apple juice instead of using the sugar sweetened ones. There we go. Oh, do you smell that? Whew, that smells so nice. All right, so there's that. And if you could simmer this on low when you're done with the mushrooms. Are the mushrooms ready? Yep.
Thyme and the garlic and with the mushrooms.
Yep. Mm-hmm. So if you want to put that. It was supposed to, I forgot about it.
Simmer this for how long?
It was supposed to just simmer it for, it's supposed to simmer like another 30 minutes or so, just until it thickens. Yeah. So you take the lid off and stir in the zest and the cranberries and then just let it simmer on low. I wouldn't do it on much more than one.
You already put the zest and everything in?
Yes, I did.
Here, that's already got
Okay,
mushroom on
that's
it.
for you.
Cranberry.
All right, now, so I'm going to put the thyme. These are our cute little herb savers. I love it. Have you bought herbs, fresh herbs, and then you lose them in the refrigerator and you come back and you're like, oh, they're nasty, they're gross. This has a little place to put water down here in the bottom, and then you just put your herbs in, and so the stems are still in the water, and then you, hang on, there we go. Push down, and then it locks up, and then you can pull your herbs out, and they stay fresh for weeks. Yeah. So I'm just going to strip some thyme here. Okay, my sweet potatoes, the pressure's coming up, so I'm going to set the timer. That whole pot of sweet potatoes and carrots, I'm going to do 4 minutes. Okay? And you going to do that? Mm-hmm. Okay. All righty. I guess it would help if I turn this on. fresh garlic. You see what he's doing to strip the thyme? You work backwards. I mean, you just pull it down. That should be enough.
I'm gonna throw these in my stock bag because the stems work great for.
What he's saying now is he's going to put the stems of the thyme and rosemary. You can do that too. In his, he's got a bag of scraps, onion scraps and carrot scraps. He keeps in the freezer. Then he makes soup stock out of that. So he's going to put the stems in there instead of throwing them away. They still have the flavor of the thyme. All right. So now we're going to stir this around. We don't want it to burn.
This is all the butt ends of your onions and carrots and celery and carrot peels and all that stuff. You just throw them into a bag and build them up in the freezer. And I've got like 3 bags in here, and then just throw it in there with some water and salt. And
Oh, yeah, turn it down.
And get some really nice vegetable stock.
Out of your garbage. Don't waste anything. It's all good. Okay, so we're going to put our stock to make our cream of mushroom soup. Now, if you don't have milk issues and you want to use some milk here, that's fine. This recipe actually calls for putting Parmesan cheese in the mixture. I think you could do it without it as well. I don't think that's is that really a half a cup of Parmesan cheese? Okay. All right, so I've got my broth here. And then I'm going to add my salt. And my pepper. And I'm going to bring it up to a simmer. Okay. And if I could get a casserole dish. Just one of the big ones. Yeah. All right. Now, what I'm going to use to thicken here, which you want to just put it up there, is something I've learned to do. The Country Bean Cookbook that we sell taught me how to do this. So whether you do, if you want your mushroom, there's mushroom broth I think you can buy. You can use any kind of bean flour to thicken this up to make, in 3 minutes, you can make your own cream of chicken soup, cream of mushroom soup, cream of beef soup, whatever you want. I use a white bean. The white beans have no flavor, so they won't flavor the broth. So I'm going to thicken, you'll see me, I'm going to thicken my gravy in a little while with bean flour. I just use bean flour everywhere when I want to thicken something. So I'm just going to use my bean flour here to thicken. You want this to come up to simmer. Doesn't clump. You know, if you use flour, you can use soft wheat flour or some of those, then you want to make a paste with some liquid or some juice. Now that's how a Southerner makes gravy. You know, well, I guess Louisiana is Southern. They make a roux where they put the flour, they toast the flour, and then you can do that. Okay, it's not getting quite thick enough. Do I have some more bean flour somewhere? Maybe for that other recipe, if I can get to thicken here. That just wasn't quite enough. Yeah, I'll just go ahead and use that. Maybe we can mill some more when we're, I don't remember what recipe this is for. Oh, the gravy probably. Okay, so my soup is thickening here. There we go. That's looking thick enough. And you just want to do it till it's the consistency you need it to be. Ooh, that took all of it, about 1/3 of a cup. Okay, my sweet potatoes are coming down. I'm going to let them naturally release. Going to keep cooking this. Come on. I don't know why these things keep turning themselves off here. All right. Okay. Okay. And I'm going to add a little more thyme. Actually, I'm going to add a little Italian seasoning. Oh man, this smells so good. Okay, now it's thickened up really nicely. There we go. Now I'll add my beans. Nice thing about the Bissler cookware is with the lid in this position, it drains without having to turn the lid. So now I'm going to add my beans right to this. Huh? Oh, aren't they pretty? Probably should have dumped the gravy into there. I think I'm going to dump it right into the pan here to stir it. And they'll finish cooking some. They're still a little crisp, but I think they'll finish cooking nicely in the oven. So see, you don't need, that really wasn't that difficult. I mean, you don't really need that cream and mushroom soup from the store. Go ahead and add the rest of them. And I found that I didn't need to double the recipe so much with the sauce. I thought it was, even if I added more beans, you know, it was plenty saucy enough. In fact, I think I doubled the beans and I didn't double the sauce here, because that was, I actually did 3 pounds of beans, so I didn't double the sauce. I forgot to tell the ladies that I was doubling it. But I think that's plenty. I almost felt like it was too soupy when I did the single recipe. So I have not. I'm going to add that now. Actually going to add a little more. I'm going to put some on top. So I'm going to give a little taste just to make sure I got it salty enough. All right, y'all are quiet today. Are y'all just like having a little sugar low? Y'all are ready to eat? See, y'all thought I was going to feed you the whole class. But I made this one. I mean, this was just too nice a meal to serve you in little bites. You need to kind of take it all in. All right, so now I'm gonna stir part of these in the dish. Oh, they're so nice. Okay. Makes it a little more involved than opening the cans and dumping it in. So, but you could do it certainly to this point and then bake it. So now we're going to put the crunchies on top. Oh, I meant to taste it to make sure I had it salty enough. I might just have to let y'all. The beans could have been a little doner. I should have tasted them before I put them in. I'm going to hope they'll go ahead and get done, but they may not. You want to get them a little more done than that. And then I'm going to just Grate a little fresh Parmesan over the top. Okay. Alrighty, there we go. That's ready to go in the oven. I'm gonna put that in.
Which oven do you want in?
I'm lost now as to what oven goes where. This one right here, this top one. Okay, let's get our sweet potatoes in too. They don't take but just a minute to get in. Oh yeah. Whoops. Okay. This is a little Parmesan cheese grater, or it can grate chocolate or whatever. It's just a nice tabletop. I don't know if you've ever seen it at an Italian restaurant. We sell them. They're out there. It has the Parmesan grater, and it has another drum that's for a little bigger grate. Fabulous. Love it. All right. Okay. All righty. Let me get this burner out of the way. Oh man. I think I bit off more than I can. Y'all are like, all right. All right. Okay, this needs to come down. Okay, the bread is baking, the casseroles are baking. We're not far. We're getting close. We're getting close because the kamut salad is just throw it together, so we're okay. I may make the cheesecake topping before the fruit salad, since it. Now, we'll see. Hello, come on. I have no idea. Probably, yeah. This is how you get the pressure down quickly. Do you all know where that did the pasta spoon come back from the kitchen? Okay, there we go. That speeds that process along. And now, there's our sweet potatoes and carrots. Isn't that beautiful? All right, so I want my processing blade now for this. There we go. It's going to help me, thank you so much. And I'm going to just put some of them in here. They're totally done. Man, I tell you what, sometimes when you double a recipe, I feel like the widow with the oil up here. It just kind of keeps coming. Because I did a half a recipe to try this, and that looks like more than double, I'm going to tell you that. Yes, you can do it in a blender or a stick blender. Okay, see how nice and smooth that is? I was telling Caleb, reminding him about a time that he made sweet potato souffle, he called it, for us. And I had never made it. Like I said, I don't do casseroles. My mom didn't. We were kind of a meat and potatoes, black-eyed peas, green beans, you know, the basics. And so I had never made, okay, why is that? Sweet potato. And I didn't even care for sweet potatoes that much for the longest time, so I rarely cooked them. And I don't even know why I had sweet potatoes in the house, but I I don't know if he's going to mind me telling you this, but we were in the basement, and Caleb being the oldest of 3 boys, we were supposed to be cleaning the basement, and Caleb was notorious for picking on his siblings. Imagine that. And he loved watching cooking shows, even when he was 10, 11, 12 years old. That's what he loved to do. And so he kept fighting with the siblings. So in frustration, we finally said, you know what? Because it was getting late, and we were all done with cleaning down there. It was getting late. And I said, you know what? Just go upstairs and fix something for dinner. What I thought the 12-year-old was going to do, I don't know. But he went up there. And he made, and he had never seen me make it, sweet potato souffle. I don't remember what else he made. I was so impressed with the sweet potato souffle. It was as smooth as silk. And he had dressed himself in a suit, a coat and tie, had put on candlelight, put an apron and a towel. And so we came upstairs from the basement, grungy and sweaty and sick of everybody that was down there, and to his meal. And that was when we knew he was made to cook and serve. So we kind of discovered, put Caleb on making dinner if I have a big project to do. So
Yeah, and that all he had to do was make dinner, and he got out of being punished. That's what we learned.
There's no bitterness.
none at all.
Let's get down to the true facts here from the sibling point of view.
Yeah. Okay. Whew, like I said, this is kind of like the widow and y'all know the story I'm talking about, the widow and the oil. She was going to cook her last meal. In fact, I was going to share that story with you today. I started reading in the Bible stories where people shared meals, usually a miracle attached. Usually a miracle attached. Abraham and the angels, when he fed the angels, what happened? Sarah was pregnant. In fact, a lot of pregnancy happens, so be careful who you share your food with. As long as you're married to them, I guess that's okay. But or an angel. But anyway, so Abraham, Rahab, now she didn't share a meal, but she opened her home up to the spies. Do you remember that? And what happened there? Her whole family was saved. The woman at the well that shared a drink of water with Jesus, what happened there? Her whole family was saved, and the whole community was saved. But the widow, I think this is that bottom tray right there, Denise. Yep, you can bring that to me. This really looks like a whole lot more sweet potatoes than a half a recipe, but I mean a whole recipe. Okay. Yeah, that's what the recipe said. I'm going to just throw that carrot away. Okay. All right, let's whisk this out of the way. Okay, I'm going to put it right there. All righty. Let's see. Okay. All righty. You want to bring me the other one? Am I on now? Okay, there we go. All right. So here's our sweet potatoes. Man, that is a lot of sweet potatoes. I'm going to save some of this for biscuits. Those biscuits were too good. That's probably what I'm going to do tomorrow. That's a lot of sweet potatoes. All righty. And this is great. You can make ahead and refrigerate it. Don't put the topping on until you're ready to pop it in the oven. A little sour cream. And what I loved about this, it was not so sweet. Why do you need to make this mixture so sweet to put all that brown sugar topping on top? And that's what I've never liked sweet potato casserole. In fact, well, I actually do, but I would eat it for dessert. It was just so sweet. And also, I've never seen the lemon zest in there. And wait till you taste just the hint of lemon. So see, it's just the 2 tablespoons of sucanat is all that's going to go into all of this mixture. Little salt, little cinnamon and nutmeg, and the zest of a lemon. And I usually, unless I'm using, like earlier, I'm going to use the zest later, I always try to zest over the bowl that I'm going to, whatever I'm using it in, because some of the oils actually spray out that you may not see and give a flavor, a nice lemon flavor or citrus. You know, you don't waste it. Don't waste any of that yummy zest. All right. Okay. So there's our sweet potato casserole, carrot sweet potato casserole. Great way to get carrots and sweet potatoes in your family. I don't think I needed to make that. See, I made that half a dish. That doesn't look like this is just double that. This is because I was like, that's not going to be enough. I better make a half a recipe and a full recipe. But I think this would have been enough. Except you're going to want seconds of this because it's amazing. Okay, so we're just going to put it in our dish here. Okay, I didn't get it quite stirred up good enough. I see some streaks of. Yep, you want to, here, let me, always with the stone, don't sit it on your cold counter, sit it on a hot plate. That's the only thing. Can you reach it across? You want to show it? There's our challah bread. You could baste it with some butter. We've got some great herb butter for you. We're going to eat here shortly. It's not that much more. Actually, I'm just thinking about, there's several things more. I'll make the tostados, the leftovers, while y'all are getting your food, maybe, once I show you one. Yep. Mm-hmm. The topping for the cheesecake. But I don't even know that they need to see me do that. Oh, the gravy.
Do I need to make that? There were no drippings.
No drippings? What's up with that? Okay. No, I usually have drippings. That's what I usually make is the breast.
There was some, but not enough.
Not enough? Well, you want to at least add what there was? Is there? No? Okay. I did. Mm-hmm. I mean, it'll certainly stay hot, but I wouldn't think it would continue to cook it that much. No. Mm-mm. All right.
You don't have to worry about it.
No. No, but it sure cooks pizza fast, 10 minutes.
And it's okay to leave it on freezer pizza?
Yep. Mm-hmm. Now, I was cooking so many, I slid it off and cooked my next one. Whoops. Oh, please don't spill this. Okay. Just don't use them. And maybe I would maybe double the, or 1.5 the sucanat and the other things. That's what I do for the coffee cake recipe that's in my cookbook. My kids don't like nuts, so I just leave the nuts out, but I make a little bit more topping because the nuts do add a volume, you know, to it. So, yeah. Do you have tree allergy? Tree nut? Huh? Oh, your kids. Okay, so you can eat this. You're all right. Yeah. And I thought about leaving it out, but this is kind of a traditional, you know, topping here.
So when you made that topping, was it dry immediately or did it have to dry up?
Well, it was a little wet, but it's just firmed up because the butter solidified, you know, from being cool in here. So there we go. Yeah, you want to finish the other one?
It would definitely be a great topping to make ahead of time, and I don't see why you couldn't use this topping as the filling for your cinnamon rolls. Like,
Oh, yeah.
Like the streusel topping that we normally, the ooey gooey filling recipe, you could certainly use this if you wanted to. Or if you had the nut allergies, use that streusel topping or ooey gooey filling as the topping for this, and it would be.
And like I said, the biscuits that you had this morning, when I made them yesterday or day before, I made them at home for us for breakfast. They were so delicious, and I would just did them just to do them for the kids. They were so delicious, and I was trying to think of, you know, other leftover ideas, and I was like, I've got that sweet potato casserole in the refrigerator, because what I did to the recipe that was in the book, I added a little extra sucanat there to give it a little sweetness, and then I zested the orange and the cranberries and everything. And so I thought, well, the sweet potato casserole already has the sucanat and the nuts and everything on it. So I just, for that, the sweet potato biscuit recipe is in my book.
I got a timer.
For the cup of sweet potatoes, which you could do, I just used a cup of the leftover casserole, and then I just zested an orange in there and threw in a handful of cranberries in that sweet potato biscuit recipe from the book. And then I juiced the orange and then topped off whatever, it was 3/4 a cup of buttermilk, I think. Then I just brought it up to 3/4 a cup with that juice of that one orange in there. So that's what I did for the sweet potato biscuit. All right, what do I need to do now? I need to make the kamut salad and the praline topping for the and the gravy. All right, let's bring this pot. Yep, I'm going to get my gravy simmering. Nope, go ahead. It does. Sorry, dear. No, you're okay. I'm actually just gonna just add this chicken broth. I think I've got enough onions in there for the gravy. So I'm just gonna start simmering this. And then I like a little sage, a little fresh sage in the gravy, so I'm going to do a little fresh sage. I'm going to just go ahead and get it simmering so it's nice and hot, and then I'll finish the salad. Yes, I do. You can just mill it right there. And for the white bean flour, I used a little garbanzo beans. What I used, you could use baby limas, you can use Great Northerns. For pot roast, if I want a darker gravy, or, you know, like making that cream of chicken soup or cream of mushroom, I'll use black-eyed peas or even Ezekiel mix, or even, not Ezekiel, I'm sorry, 16-bean soup mix. So, is there a hot plate back there? Hey, Caleb, should I need to saute this sage in a little butter before I just throw it in, right? Okay, you always want to put your aromatic herbs, like can you, okay,
Yeah, so
or you can do it right there. You can get a small fry pan. Your aromatic herbs like sage and rosemary, you should saute them in a little oil. You know, that brings out the flavor a little better instead of just throwing them in the pot. So I'll let him do that. Since I kind of threw off my groove, I decided I didn't need any more onions. That was my mistake. I left it out of something. The dressing is probably ready. Oh, okay, y'all are fabulous. Okay, so I know y'all got me. Y'all are doing so great. I can actually use that. Okay, all right.
This is for your gravy?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll saute that, and then do you want to add the bean flour to the butter? You want to cook it a little bit?
I don't care.
Let me do that.
Okay. Ah, come on. Okay. For my, to grate my carrots, I'm going to use the slicer shredder attachment to the kitchen assistant. Turned on its side. It's the motor for the attachments. And I'm going to take my carrots, and I got organic carrots here. I don't want to peel them. The skin has a lot of nutritional value. And I'm going to show you what I've fallen in love with, these little scrubbing gloves. I love them, and we have them in kid sizes. This is great for people with arthritis or kids. It's so easy for kids to scrub potatoes because it's like washing their hands. And I'm going to use just a little bit of the veggie wash, spray on. That helps to remove any pesticides or anything that might be there. It's a citrus-based. Even though these are organic, some things have to be sprayed if they cross state lines. So you just want to spray, and then I'm just going to scrub. These are abrasive, and they just scrub it. Just like, yeah, yep. Isn't that neat? It's just, oh man, potatoes are fabulous. It's like washing your hands. You just have the little potato in your hand, and just rinse them. You just rinse them off. Yes, they dry very, very quickly. This is part of that same line. It's the same company, No More Detergent. It's the same one that makes the little scrubbers, the vegetable scrubbers that we that are made with the peach pits. Well, they're pot scrubbers, but the nice thing about them is you can completely rinse them off. They never get grungy and slimy and mildewy. So now I'm just going to wash. Yeah, and you just lay them on your counter. They'll dry very, very quickly. They're not like cloth. They're very porous. So got a bomb going off here. Okay, so now I'm just going to set my bowl, my tray. That's the nice thing about this. And I'm finishing the pomegranate, carrot, or kamut salad. Oh, yeah. Oh, wow, that's nice. Oh, sorry. Oh. I'll just stay right here and wait for him to move the camera. Yeah. There you go. All right. Like I said, they probably could have steamed a little bit more. So just know that they're a little crunchy, but that's okay. All right, so now we've drained, and this is our cooled kamut. Now we're going to add the carrots. And if someone wants to come do this, I'll make the you want to do this? Okay, just put all those in there. And the golden raisins. Why don't I see golden raisins? Oh, there they are, 1/4 of a cup. I think this is actually a double recipe. All righty.
Mom, are you doing a double recipe of the gravy?
It doesn't matter. I'm not doing a recipe on the gravy. I'm just winging it like I do at home.
Your recipe calls for 1/3 of a cup of bean flour. How much do you think you need?
At least that much, yeah. And if y'all could get some tostada, the tortillas toasting, that would be great. You want to just sit them somewhere. All righty, so here's our carrots. What? Okay. All right, and now we'll make our dressing for this. You want to get me the, yeah, I got, there it is. Yes. I'm going to do oranges. Okay. You go ahead and squeeze. Okay. Oh, just do it in there, will you?
So you want me to put this in?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
The sage butter?
Yep.
And the gravy?
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All
Just
right.
making sure,
Yep. Okay. All right, so we're making the dressing here. 1, 2. And then this salad, you're going to want to taste. You can tell they want to get me out of here on time. Can you tell? This is the salt and the cinnamon. Told you it was going to be a miracle anyway. Oh, I was telling you a story about the widow. Y'all, that's in 1 Kings, I believe it's 17. And it's the widow that was gathering sticks to go cook the last bit of bread that she had in her house for her and her son. And the prophet said, make me some bread. And she goes, you know, I can't. This is all I have. And he said, you know, told her to make him some. So she did. And then he told her, that's the one where he told her to go get the pots from all of her neighbors and fill it with oil. And she did, and she never ran out. And then later when her son was sick, that was olive oil. Later when her son was sick, the prophet Elijah came back and brought him back to life. Well, then there's another story, 2 Kings chapter 4, the prophet Elisha, same thing, but this woman was very wealthy. The first one was very poor, so it doesn't matter whether you're rich or poor. Give what you have. And the wealthy woman actually ended up building a room for Elisha, the prophet, to stay in when he came through on his visits. And he asked her, was there something she could do for him, he could do for her? And she said, no, what do I need? I'm here among my people. She was a very contented woman. But he found out that she did not have any children. And so he prayed and asked the Lord to give her a child, and he did. And she was very excited about it, but later the child grew up and died in the field. You know, that got a headache, and she kind of said to him, why did you do this? You know, and now he's dead. And Elisha, the prophet, brought that child back to life. So lots of miracles around sharing your
Turn this
food.
down to 2. I'm just gonna let
Okay,
this simmer
that
down
sounds
a little bit.
great. And we're going to let this, just the flavors meld here. And I think that's everything in there except, I'm going to zest. I love zest, and I just think it brings out the flavor. And another thing that I thought this dish needed was a little tarragon. Just tasting it, I needed to just jazz it up a little bit. Let me taste. And I also thought it needed to be a little sweeter. Still think so. Not yet. So a little sweeter here. So just taste it. Don't think it needs salt. We thought it needed salt last time, but I don't think it needs any more salt. Just a little sweetener here. And a little bit of tarragon. The tarragon is a sweet herb, almost a licorice flavor, but it really brings out a nice flavor to this dish. Not in the recipe. This recipe is from the Ancient Grains cookbook. So now we're going to add our pomegranates. You're going to love this dish. It actually says let it sit and let these flavors meld and then add the pomegranates. So let me zester. Do we know where the zester is? It went to the kitchen? All righty. Well, we'll add some zest and the pomegranates to this. We got the gravy. Let me taste and see if the gravy's salty enough. That's pretty nice.
Yep. 400 degrees, you need these?
Yeah.
Salt crank.
No. Little salt and pepper here. And I'm going to toss in a tiny bit of the dried sage. Oh, I think they're fine.
You just want to crisp these up a little bit. Right?
Oh, that was pepper. Yeah. Okay. Yep, I think that's fine for gravy. Don't you think that's thick enough for gravy? Okay. You want to whisk this pot away, and then I will do the cranberry sauce.
Season, do you think it's good?
I think it's good.
All right.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna show you a little something with the leftovers. Leftover turkey. You can only have sandwiches so many days, and turkey and dressing so many days, and everybody revolts. They're like, no. It's got to have something else. I want to show you a little something that you can do with your leftover cranberry sauce, because that cranberry sauce makes a lot. And so let me show you what you can do with that. Real quick, we'll do this. I'll build one of these tostados, and while y'all are eating, I'll finish the cheesecake. Okay, I've got to make a praline topping for the pumpkin cheesecake. We got pumpkin cheesecake, pecan pies, and pumpkin pie, and I'll make the whipped cream and the praline topping for the cheesecake while y'all eat. So this is the last thing I'll show you. I'm going to thin this just a little bit. This is my leftover cranberry sauce. This is the tostado recipe at the very next to the end, and I put a little meat pie in there. I'm not making those, but I found that recipe and I thought, wow, that sounds good with the green beans and the mashed potatoes, and you know, who doesn't have all that stuff left over? So, okay. Nope, don't mind. She's going to take the bread. And, oh, let me show you. We have some lovely herb butter for the bread. We mixed up some butter with our new seasonings, our dried thyme. These are our butter bells that keep it the nice spreadable consistency. You put your cold water in here, about that much. This will hold a whole stick of butter, believe it or not. And we softened it and added some thyme, Italian seasoning, and some basil. And so now you can serve, and then you just serve your butter like that, and then you just put it back in here, change your water every day, and that keeps the butter nice and soft, spreadable temperature without getting too soft and oiling off and everything because of the cool water. So I've got both here. Uh-oh, that one was too soft. You don't want the butter soft when you put it in there. You want it cold. There we go. Just take it and lift it out. Okay, all righty. So now we're heating our cranberry sauce here, and we're going to spike this up just a tad with some jalapenos. And you can get as crazy with this as you want. You can use fresh ones if you want. I just use the slices because Brad's the only one in our house that likes them, other than we made some chili with those you brought us. Woo. Woo. That was like, hello, good morning. Whatever the little red ones were. Yeah? All right. Okay, I think I've got cumin and chili powder here, so should. Uh-oh, I may have to get my stash from back here. My old stash is not going to be as good because these spices are amazing. You can almost use half. I've got cumin and chili powder. I just didn't get any in here. All right, so what is it? How much is it? 2 teaspoons of cumin? One. Whoops. You carefully measure that now. All right, 2 of the chili. I actually think I bumped it up to 2 on the cumin. I think I did when I tasted it. I thought it needed a little extra. Okay, so here's what we're going to do now. Cool way to eat those leftover turkey. Do I have one of those tortillas ready? And I'll just build one and show them. Okay, I cooked this one yesterday. Now this is actually chicken, just like what I cooked in the class. Boy, we're going to be having leftovers. Okay, let me taste this. Okay, here we go. Oh wow, that's really nice. That sounds odd, but that is really good. That is really, really, really good. In fact, I would even serve it like that on the table. It's nice. Just gotta, that's good. That's really good. Uh-huh. Okay. Yep, to crisp them up. And they actually could be a little crispier. I actually did mine in a skillet the first time I did them. These could be a little crispier, but that's okay. We're gonna, the beans have gotten a little cold waiting on me. This is refried beans, the refried beans that we sell. And all you want to do is just spread with some of the refried beans. Doesn't take much. In fact, that's what Caleb and I both decided. You don't really need to put a lot on here. It's kind of like pizza. A lot of guys think the more the merrier on the pizza, but it can really be overkill to some point. So we're just going to go out with the spread. You know what would be a better tool for that? Yes. Yeah, okay. Our little handy dandy spreaders. There we go. Always helps to have the right tool. All right, so now what we're going to do is going to take some of the shredded turkey or chicken or whatever you want to call it, put it here. Hey. Not long. Give me just a few more minutes. I want to make tea. Oh, can you turn the pot on? Okay, so then some onions and peppers. And then a little cheese. What happened to my cheese? Yep, it is. And this is the peppercorn, raw milk peppercorn that we sell. Just a little cheese on here. Okay. And you ready for this? This stuff. And then you're just going to toast it till all that melds. And then you'll top it with cilantro and a little squeeze of lime. Way you have it, okay? So we'll finish these. And after y'all get your dish, we'll bring them. We'll cut them and bring them around. You can tell I'm getting tired now. Okie dokie. You want to get rid of that, Sharon, if you would. You can put it in the cabinet there. And here's all this. Okay. All right. So here's this. You're going to love this. It's amazing. Okay. Uh-oh. Okay, and I'll make the praline topping. What we're going to do is I didn't want to be plating and serving y'all individual foods. I want you to do it just like Thanksgiving. Remember, this isn't Thanksgiving. I know you're hungry because you've been here a long time. It is still sample size servings. It's not, I didn't make enough for all 50 of you to, we're calling on a miracle. So, but anyway, so if you'll remember that, in fact, they're gonna start plating. And y'all can help yourself or get your plates. We have some of our wonderful herbal tea. We have which one? Blood orange and the wild strawberry. And I want to show you our fabulous tea maker that I just have fallen in love with. If you ever like needed tea like really fast and you're like, great, I don't have it. I love this tea maker. It's just a great way to make a half gallon of tea very, very quickly. So I'm going to steep it. I'm going to do the berry blast here. And it takes about 8 tablespoons of tea. This is our dry herbal tea. What did you sweeten it with today, Ashley?
You know, I actually did the honey.
Okay, she sweetened it with the honey granules.
The lattes I did with the agave.
Lattes this morning she did with the agave. But here's what you do. These are heat resistant. I mean, you know, they can withstand heat, and they're also airtight, and they don't leak. So you can lay this down on its side, you can totally shake it up, and it's not going to leak. So it's great for packing on a picnic. You can lay it in the cooler, and it's not going to half of it come out. So what we're going to do, as soon as our water boils, we're going to let our tea steep. I'm going to finish that. I need the microplaner. That's what I need. Okay. All right. We're almost there, and I didn't do it. That's still pretty good. I mean, I know we had stuff prepped, but we talked a lot, and, you know, to be able to cook a Thanksgiving meal. Pressure cookers are amazing. I mean, I hope you see that. It's just amazing. They have saved me so much. And I know they're expensive, but get a good one. The Fissler ones really last. We've not had any problems with them at all. They really do cook fast. The kamut, it's said to soak it overnight, and so I did soak it today and cooked it, and I only cooked it for, I think, 15 minutes. But the first time I tried it, I didn't soak it, so I don't think you necessarily have to, but I just cooked it for 20. When I didn't soak it. Yeah, did that make sense? So, all right, our water is boiling. So I'm going to just pour my hot water into here. I've been dying to show y'all this, and I haven't had an opportunity. And then you just, the loose tea is in here. You just screw it down, and it's going to steep. Now I'm going to let it steep for about 15 minutes. So I'll finish up. And then all I'm going to do is I'm going to fill this with ice. And so if you can do that for me, Sharon, go ahead and fill this with ice. And then I'll pour my sweetener over here, and then I'll pour my hot tea on top of it and shake it, and it'll be ready to drink, cold tea. So it's just a great way to make the tea. All right, I'm going to finish up this and let them serve it over there. Here's my planer. I just think it needs a little orange. Oh, that was a lemon. I didn't add the walnuts to here. You certainly could, but I thought if there were people with the tree nut allergies, we'd just forego it. I didn't put the walnuts in it the other day. So now I'm going to sprinkle the. Isn't this just so pretty? And I like pomegranate, so I think that was like way more than it called for, but who cares? It's my salad. I can do whatever I want, right? Remember, recipes are just a suggestion. And there's our pumpkin cheesecake, and I'm going to make the praline topping while y'all get your food. I think if everything is out of the oven, I need to make the whipped cream for the pies. That won't take but a second. Okay, so there's our salad. Now this is, like I said, this is a different texture, but the flavor is outstanding. It's got that chewy, crunchy, sweet, and I'll just put a little tarragon on top as a garnish. Isn't that pretty?
Cranberry apple salsa, that would be really good on turkey as well.
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
That's in the Oodles of Noodles class.
We made a cranberry apple salsa. Actually, it was in last year's holiday class, too. I think we did it. Yeah, we'll have to get you that recipe. It was delicious. So, all right, so there's our salad. Caleb, if you want this, you're gonna put the food there and just let them come through? There we go. There's that. And what did I need to make? Oh, the whipped cream. Whipped cream for the pies. Where's my, there it is. Fabulous, fabulous. And then I'll make the topping for the pumpkin pie while y'all eat. Does that sound like a deal? All right. Let me show you how easy it is for the whipped cream maker. Yes?
A couple more because the sweet potatoes aren't done yet.
Okay. Yeah, I can keep them here. I'm good at that. Well, I actually want to ask a blessing. Okay. So all we're going to do is...
Did you do the topping for the cheesecake though?
Pint? No. I need to do that. Yeah, you want to come do it? Here we go. We just need a saucepan. I'm not sure where one is. Hang on, just a minute. Well, you know what? We can always use a pressure cooker. See, that's the nice thing, too. You can use the pressure cookers. Don't think you can only use them for pressuring. All right? I think I have it all right here, Sharon. Yep. Right here. All right, let me finish the whipped cream, and I will powder the sucanat for you, the sucanat with honey, if you want to go ahead and get started. All right, let me do the whipping cream. You can use agave, you can use honey. I usually like the agave because, you know, it dissolves a little better. But I prefer using honey where honey will work, and honey certainly works here. What do y'all want, cinnamon or nutmeg? Cinnamon? Okay. See, I'm a nutmeg lover, so I love ginger on the pumpkin pie. Ginger on the pumpkin pie is really good. So chocolate here. Ooh, orange on the pumpkin pie. Yeah, you could do that. So we're going to do about a teaspoon of the cinnamon. Oh, y'all got to smell these spices. Y'all want to smell any of these? I'll sit them out. They're amazing. You'll notice the difference. Okay, and about a teaspoon of vanilla. That was about a teaspoon, right? And the chargers. Oops, where's my... Huh? Okay. All right, so now I've got my cream, a couple of tablespoons of honey, my vanilla. I'm just going to give it a little shake just to get that honey mixed in there. Vanilla, cinnamon. And now we need to pull our top off here, add our cartridge. It pressurizes it. And all you got to do is give it a couple of shakes. And it's ready to go. So we're just going to remove our cartridge now. Always scares me. And then put our little...
And those cartridges are single use?
Single use, yep. But it'll do, you can do a pint of whipping cream at a time, and it'll last for about 2 weeks in the refrigerator. It's good to go. So,
Or not, depending on how.
or not, yeah, depending on how. But here you go. There we go. Our whipped cream's ready to go. All righty. So, there we have it. Okay. Let me powder the sucanat. Did you do it? I think it's just the sucanat with honey that has to be powdered.
Oh,
The sucanat goes right in here.
Okay, I was wondering.
Yep, just powdered in the blender is all we're doing there with the sucanat with honey. Let me get you the right tool, girly.
Thank you. I was looking for the other one.
Yep.
I got
Let's get the cream in there.
1/3.
Butter. This is the praline topping for the pumpkin cheesecake. Yeah, and to powder, anytime you need powdered sugar, you can just throw the sucanat or sucanat with honey in your blender. Okay. All righty.
Keep on going with it.
Yep. You want to go?
Yep.
Okay. I think we did it. 25 minutes late. All right. I'm going to take this. Let's add now for sweetener for the tea. I love honey with the herbal teas. Sucanat with honey or agave nectar for regular black teas. I feel like the honey overpowers the black teas, but the herbal teas, it really blends nicely. But I'm going to use agave today because of in the ice, I think it just does a little better when you're putting it over there cold. The honey hardens when it hits the cold. So, hey, Caleb, do you have a agave nectar over there underneath? No. Down there? Yeah. Okay. Here's the whipping cream. Oh, we're going to do the desserts last, though. So. Like I said, there's something about sharing a meal with other people and with those you love and your family. In the Jewish customs and faith, it's a big deal. Family is a really big deal. And I think as a people, we've kind of gotten away from that. I encourage you this Thanksgiving to not only take the time to be thankful, but maybe pray a blessing for your kids, or make it a meaningful event, not just an event to just eat. We love playing games, so usually it's like, okay, let's get the food out of the way so we can play games. But we don't need another event to go to. We don't need another thing to try to do. But I think we need to find a happy medium from, heating something up out of a box and throwing it on the table. That's one extreme. The other extreme is thinking everything has to be so gourmet and so beautiful and so perfect. If you have those gifts and talents, like Spice Girl here, wow, I'm impressed. She helps me, I'm like, here it is. The mashed potatoes are in the pot, y'all dig them out, And, but I need to grow, and it's actually very pleasant to be around someone like her and learn a few little things. And Caleb, he's just very presenting. Ashley just does a great job. But, there is a reward of sharing what you have. And like I said, there's actually some supernatural, spiritual experiences around it. And we just need to really take the time to thank the Lord for all the delicious food that he has given us that does nourish our body. And we need to realize that we don't have to sacrifice pleasure and comfort and good taste to eat healthy. And that's what I want you. I hope you've been encouraged there. And I hope not only do you smell the pleasing aroma of the food and the taste, but that you smell the fragrance of the love of Jesus, my Savior. And I just pray that it blesses you. So I just want to thank the Lord for the food and let y'all go partake. And I'll finish the tea and we'll finish the icing for the cheesecake. Not that it needs any, but it's going to be delicious, I'm sure. So let's just pray. Lord, we just thank you. Humbly, we come before you, thanking you for your abundant provision. I thank you for your love for us. I thank you for sending your Son to die for us. And I thank you for Emmanuel, God with us, that he dwells in us. You are no longer inapproachable, but you are with us. And I just thank you for that. I thank you for this food, for all the hands that helped me prepare this and help me accomplish this. I thank you for everyone that has come here today, and I pray that they would be blessed. Be blessed today, and may we be a pleasing aroma to you and to everyone we come in contact with. So thank you, Lord. In Jesus' name, amen. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face shine upon you. May the Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. In Jesus' name, amen. Are you ready over there? Do you need some helpers to help plate? All righty, you go plate. I'm going to pour this, show you how easy this tea is. Give them a couple of more minutes there. Whoop, that looks, oh, that's tea. That's
Do you
all
want
right.
me to pour this on there or just go ahead and plate?
Go ahead and plate.
Okay.
I think it was supposed to cook for a minute or so.
Okay, it looks lovely.
Okay.
Really nice.
Oh, and my daughter Abigail is here. So if you're waiting in line, if you want to see her makeup selection and her skincare selection, this is my daughter Abby. She's number 5 child. Ashley's 1. We got number 2. Number 3 is in the store. 4 is probably making pizza. 5 is Abby. 6 is working. 7 better be doing her homework. Actually, 7 and 8 are at I forget, my boys, number 7 and 8 are at a youth retreat. Number 9 better be doing her homework. That's why she didn't want to come to the warehouse. I had homework. So see, that perfectly fills your tea here. And then you just screw this down. And here's what's so cool, it won't leak. And now you just shake it up. See that? I don't know any jar that doesn't leak some. Any pitcher. So, and you got tea. In the summertime, it is so fabulous because how many times you just go, oh man, who drank all the tea? And and sometimes you just want herbal tea to be refreshing. So that was about a 1/2 cup of the agave nectar, and that's about a 1/2 gallon of tea. So I'll be serving this. I'll put my praline topping on the cheesecake. Y'all go ahead and get your food, your bread, and the tea we have down there. Do we need cups down there? Need some cups? Yeah, there's some little green ones back here. Or those of you, if you don't want to stand in line, go ahead and talk to Abigail.